All right, we are live. We're going to do a debate here with Vaibhav and Jeffrey. This is going to be on if we need government at all, do we need laws, stuff like that. So, Jeffrey, about a 5 minute opening statement, and then Vaibhav will be responding to that.
Cool. Well, I have a pretty different. Well, first of all, my name is Jeffrey Phillips. I'm 44 years old. I live in California. I am a vegan activist and athlete. And a anarcho-capitalist. um, Basically, I'm of the opinion that most of the crime that we see these days is a result of the environment that government has created for us. This desperate, tax slave kind of situation that government's made up for us causes a lot of the crime that we have. I also am of the opinion that when you allow a government to, police a country, you're guaranteed bad actors. Many bad actors that are allowed to bend the rules. Police, corrupt police, stuff like that. So I don't. I believe the community, an educated community, can police themselves better than a government. You have if you took all the outside, if you took all of the environment the government has made for us away, and you wouldn't have as many bad actors as you think. Sure, there'd be some crazy people, there'd be some stuff going on, but like how we have crime in our society now is very much a result of the conditions we live in and not being able to opt out of these conditions. I believe that the free market, a truly free market, sans government regulations and monopoly, would be able to do for us a far better job than government does. I think democracy is two wolves in sheep clothing. Two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner. 51% dropping bombs on 49%. I think caring about what other people do is a really big problem we have in this country. Everyone wants to control everyone because we see government controlling everyone. We want to control government to control people, and this is just a vicious cycle that we're in. We have a completely screwed up legal system that penalizes the victim twice. When you have something bad happen to you and you take that person to court and they go to jail, you got the bad thing happen to you, and then you have to pay taxes to house that guy in a system where he's going to go off and become a bigger criminal and get out and do worse things. Yeah, I mean that's about the gist of it. I think government is a very big problem, and I think trying to control others is a major rights violation in many ways. I think being tax slaves, we don't have the time to raise our children the right way because we've been 9 to 5, 365 with a week off every year. We don't get to raise our children anymore, and if we weren't in this system, we would be around our children more, and therefore government wouldn't need to be making these laws. And when are they adults, and when can they smoke cigarettes, and when could they defend themselves, and buy a gun. You don't have to do this stuff if the family unit is tight, and if the family unit is tight, they're not off being a wage slave 24/7. Things are just getting worse. Back in the day, most women stayed home and did a little bit more, raising of the children. And now it's like, it's not like that these days. It's not the norm anymore. And so our kids are raised by their friends and school and, TikTok and stuff. So, yeah, I think that's about it.
Okay, that was a lot to take in. So I'm Vaibhav Pandey. P stands for Pandey. I don't use my full name. I'm a social worker in India. I do other stuff as well to make money. I don't make money because of my what I do for society. So government causes a lot of crimes. Jeffrey, you said,
What's
and
that?
I kind of you said lot of crimes are caused because of governments, because the
Yeah.
system they made. I agree with
Yeah.
some things, yeah, like certain things. For example, if someone is making 200,000 rupees, not dollars, that's way too much less for a family. And that person, when that person has to pay taxes on everything he buys, that person is more likely to commit a crime just in order to survive. I get that part. But government do a lot of good as well. For example, education of kids. Before before we had systems in place, kids were smoking more than now. We can talk about if smoking is a bad thing or not, but just think about a society where we don't have laws and we don't have rules. People are, so in that situation people are not educated, so we don't have a technology, we don't have any basic system, the system you're talking about, that educated society can take care of this, take care. I believe that educated society will be able to take care of this themselves. But people will not be educated if we don't have laws in place, if we don't have systems in place. And the reason we have crime is more complicated than that. Not everyone is educated. Still, not everyone is educated. Educated people have records. They made mistakes in the past. So I'm not going to go into that why we have crime, but government is not the only reason for that. You said 51% people vote for something, and that's applicable. What about the 49%? Give me an example when that happened. Give me a single situation where 40, for even 60 or 40% people were so opposite that 40% were literally fucked. Kasan, I think it's, is it okay to use that word?
Oh, I didn't hear it. What word?
Oh, okay.
You can
It's
use
fine.
any word except the C word when talking about
Okay, got it.
vaccines. Yeah.
Okay, I got it. We'll avoid that subject if necessary. So, Jeffrey, can you give me an example of situation where people voted with 60% majority, and 40% people were literally fucked?
Israel, Gaza, Gaza Strip, Palestine.
What was the situation?
Let me think. What else? Papua New Guinea right now is being invaded.
Okay, Papua New
A
Guinea, I'll
bunch
give you
of
that. Just
Aboriginals,
that one.
getting bombed. Okay, yeah, I could
I'll
name a
give you
few.
Papua New Guinea. Okay. Okay. Uh, where were we? Huh? It's all about just wars only, or other things as well?
No, oh, are are we gonna go back and forth? Because I think you're doing your opening.
Yeah, we can. No, it's fine. It's fine. We
Oh,
can do that.
okay, that's cool. Okay. So what do you ask?
So I asked you, is it about wars only or other than that? Because I
No.
personally don't think we should have wars, but
Yeah, good. Um, that's a good thing to agree on. It's hard to get people to agree on that these days, it seems like.
of course we don't need wars anymore. Come on.
Yeah. So other things, I think the overregulation of the job market causes a lot of problems. I think the overregulation of the overtaxation of people. I think when you have a government, you have all this space for error. And you have a bunch of only for the most part, from what I've seen, when I see government, I see the people that are attracted to government tend to be people that want to control a lot of people, and like I don't want to control people, so like it seems like kind of crazy people always end up in these positions of power, and all these bad things are always happening, and all of our money's being spent to drop bombs on people overseas, when it should be staying in our pockets here, and being used for good things here on the people,
Good
or
things
just
like what?
uh, better quality of life in general. Maybe a little less of a work week, a little less taxation. A lot of money goes to the military industrial complex via the government, you know, And it sounds like you're a minarchist. You believe in small government, but not a huge government.
What I believe in personally is that we need laws in places, but laws should be easy to change.
Well,
And
criminals don't follow laws, though, and criminals don't control
but there are
behavior.
consequences for that, and those consequences stops a lot of people. Because trust me, if I had
There's always going to
no one, and society make the crimes happen. Crime will happen in society. Doesn't matter if you have laws or not. But numbers of chaos, the number of chaos will be reduced just because we have laws, we have a system in place. Someone can say, okay, I don't want to do that because I don't want to go to jail. These things matters, and things you're talking about, jobs for especially government can create. I don't know how much is the job market, how job market works in your country, but
yeah.
government creates about 20% of jobs in my country, which is less than what we want, but it's more than we had in last few years. So we need a system. If we have a government, we can actually, for example, you said women used to take care of kids before.
Or
You
tradition
said something like that in
back
your
in the
opening
day, yeah,
statement.
there
Yeah,
was more time
and
for
that,
child
at
rearing.
that time, yeah, women wasn't able to actually get jobs. Now women can get jobs. So imagine a single mother who doesn't, if you there's a lady with kids, and that lady don't have husband or anyone, that lady can
They
actually
weren't
go out
taxed
and get jobs.
before.
We have reservations for that. I beg your pardon.
They weren't taxed before, and now they're taxed. That's not a good thing.
Women
Like
are okay. So I don't know about your
it
country, but
basically
in my country,
doubled the amount of
taxes are different.
revenue to go into the military industrial complex by letting taxing women. We didn't when we get married. You didn't used to tax the woman. Now they tax the woman no matter what. That's what
Why
the
not?
first wave of feminism gave us, which was a
And
psyop by
what's
the
wrong with that?
CIA.
What's wrong with that? Because I don't think if there's a woman making as much as I am making and
Tax
I'm paying the
money
amount,
turns into
that woman should
F-18s, and they drop bombs on other countries with
tax
the money that they
tax
tax
money
us
makes
from.
road, tax money makes schools as well. Tax money
The
pays
free
for.
market can make better education and better roads than that we have now.
So what do you think?
Government
Free
monopoly gives
market? I'm
us
like
terrible roads. I don't
individual
know how things are in your
individual
country, but it's pretty bad
individual
here.
organization taking care of education. That this is what you're suggesting?
We used to be like third in the world for education now, and then they started the Department of Education, and now we're like 800th in the world or something, like way down at the bottom. Our education system that the government gave us is a complete joke.
Hey,
Like, go look at our ratings. USA
I'm gonna
is
hop.
down.
I'm
at
gonna
the
hop in
bottom,
here.
and
I'm gonna
30
hop in
years
here
ago,
to.
it was up at the top.
I'm
Yes,
gonna hop in
Carson.
here to guide something really quick. So I noticed there's 3 topics that are loosely being talked about, but let's take them one at a time. So before getting into the funding roads and that kind of thing, and before getting into the taxation part, let's just go to the first thing that Vahab said of laws, like for criminals. So pick something that you think should be illegal, that you think would need to be handled by the government, and then Jeffrey can let you know how it would be handled in his system.
Okay, so crimes like stealing, murders, other
Let's
than
just pick
that,
one. Let's just pick one.
domestic violence. Okay, let's say domestic violence.
Domestic violence.
What do you think, Jeffrey? Should we have rules for domestic violence? Laws?
No, I think our communities should be closer. We shouldn't be dependent on the police that are completely corrupt. I think a person's community and family can deal with a domestic violence problem better than the government. The cops can, who just come and shoot people in my country for the most part. I think we need a top-down reform of how we are as people, and question why we pull out our phone and film it when we see something bad happen, and instead of stopping it, or if we see something bad, we call the cops when we could stop the bad thing from happening right on its own. I think the fact that we are wage slaves in this system doesn't allow us to be at our full potential. It doesn't allow us to create bonds with our families at our full potential because we're
Wait, hold
all
on, hold on.
Jeffrey,
Let's stay on topic though. The not the wage stuff. Let's just focus. So
okay.
domestic violence, man punches lady in the face.
I
I
I have
Yeah.
an answer, Jeffrey.
lady goes and
Before
tells the
nine-
community. The strongest
Before-
men come from the community. The strongest minds of that
What is
community
that
get together,
strong-
confront the domestic
How do we know
abuser,
who's?
figure
What
out
do we
what
do?
the problem
Confront them
is.
and tell them it's wrong, and they will do it again. It's
haven't
not
let
a
me
part
finish.
job for society. Society do it. It's a great thing.
It should be.
But society,
It should
we,
be and
we
would be
can't
better
rely
if
on
it was
society. The
society's
problem.
job to deal with these problems instead of cops
See,
that come and shoot
see,
people.
before I don't know. I actually don't have a data about this, but before 1950s, it was legal in my country to hit your women, and she can't do anything. It was literally written in the basic laws. So before that, the cases where husbands are killing women, husbands, because what happens when you don't have law, your next door neighbor, what that person can do, that person can confront you, that person can tell you, okay, you shouldn't do it, but that person can't punish you. And punishment, the real consequences are the actual part to fix these issues. If person is scared that I might actually lose the right to meet my children, that is the motivation we actually need in this situation.
Laws.
If you really,
People break laws
Yeah,
all the
please.
time. Laws don't stop any crimes from happening. Our own hearts.
it
like,
does,
maybe,
it does,
like you
it
said,
does. If
in your
it does
country,
actually, if
you know,
you,
I don't. This
Wait,
isn't-
hold on.
this
Let's
shouldn't be-
let
we
Jeffrey
shouldn't be
finish real quick.
treating-
yeah.
Like I'm not.
There's
trying
a
to compare
delay, so
USA
you
with-
guys keep
with
talking over each
India
other because there's a
or-
short delay. So I'll try
Okay,
to organize the not talking over. So Jeffrey, you go
Okay,
ahead and
okay.
finish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this talking about comparing our countries isn't really the greatest way
Yeah,
way
it's a
to
bad
take
idea.
use this time. But law like for instance, Vabe, if they legalized heroin, would you go out and use heroin tomorrow?
I personally won't, but a lot of people will.
Okay. If they legalized domestic violence tomorrow, would you go and punch somebody, you know, or your wife, or I don't know if you're married or anything? Like, if they made that legal tomorrow, would you go do that?
I wouldn't. But imagine a situation where I'm really angry
Okay.
and I accidentally, or there was a situation where I got angry and I know there are no laws protecting my hypothetical wife. I might actually go and punch. I'm not a violent person, but a lot of people are violent people. Violent. What about those? As an individual, I wouldn't commit a crime, but that
Those
doesn't
people,
mean that
those
there
people
are
are fewer and far between than we think in our society.
no, no,
Our
no, no,
society,
no.
Our news. No, you gotta let me talk, bro. You gotta let me
Yeah,
talk.
please. Okay.
So again, like most the most people are just like you, babe. I don't buy this like greater bad of humanity. I think we're all here as a positive. Most people think like you. There's very low percentage of true bad actors in our society. If you take government and all its cops and all its desperation and if you take that all away, you aren't going to have as many bad actors if everybody's happy, if everybody has a better quality of life because they aren't being taxed and they aren't forced to work 7 days a week. You know, quality of life's going to be better if we were able to, if government wasn't controlling our money and our you know, all of this our job market. We'd be able to work for 2 months out of the year and spend the rest of the year off if we weren't paying for all these wars and all this misuse of our money that government does. All government does is waste our money. In my country and in most countries, I don't think there's many countries that are that different. Their governments run by corrupt people that waste the money on whatever they want. And the people very will see very little of that at the end of the day. The trickle down is very small.
Carson, I think we are going to go on next topic now.
Wait,
Using
hold on. I
how-
feel like we haven't touched this topic at all yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just like, here's the thing. Hold on.
For
I don't
instance,
think either of
well,
you
I got a
guys
good
have touched.
example. Carson.
Well, hold on.
So in San Francisco,
He's not okay. Okay,
Well, I
I have.
just
Okay,
just hold
please.
on real quick. A man punches his wife in the face, breaks her nose, blood's everywhere, and let's say he punches a couple times. There's just bruises all over. This lady's like busted up. I want to hear what's going to happen in Jeffrey's world, and then Vaibhav, you can say what you would do, but I feel like
Okay.
the conversation keeps jumping to like people wouldn't want to beat their wives if they had better lives, but the question is, in the world, even with the greatest of lives, the people that do these types of crimes, how would that be handled? You might have the best right answer, but when you tell that answer, Vaibhav can counter it. I feel like that's probably a good approach to go.
yeah, basically, my whole argument is not immediately calling the police. That this might be a better way of explaining this. So, dude is obviously a domestic abuser. The wife is battered. The wife goes to her family, tells them. That family contacts, like the men of that family, the smart, the strong minds and men of that family, confront this man, figure out what's going on, what's the problem, is this guy crazy, is he on drugs? They figure out what's going on. Meanwhile, the other members of the family are contacting therapists and stuff, and doing kind of like like doing some research on what's going on. They're and at that place, basically adjudicating what needs to happen. Does this person need to? Do we need to call the cops and have armed men come take this man and throw him in jail? Do we need to convince him that he needs to go into rehab? Seriously, do we need to? There could be tons of different things. There are private industry companies that do things along these lines now. There are other things. Instead of doing nothing but call the cops and expecting your tax dollars to figure out the best way of dealing with this problem, when we have a history of knowing that government is corrupt, doesn't care really about us at all, has a bunch of systems that are totally predatory to us, and there are way better ways of doing things. And just, expecting to figure out another way, having another government figure it out. Every government was small when it started and then got huge. And that's when, empires crumble. And that's what's happening to us now, at least in the US and I think in other countries. But anyway, go ahead, Vabe.
Okay, so let's start with
your idea is the guy's punching her. All right, we call the cops. What do the cops do?
Let me tell you what my idea is, if I may. Okay. So let's say a husband punches a wife. Now she goes to a family and want to solve it internally. That's her right. We don't have to call the cops. But let's say she's the most eldest lady in the house, and her husband occupies the most financial assets and has most power in the family. For example, when I was young, and if my dad hits my mother, I literally can't do anything. My mom can't come to me. So in that situation, my mom or that hypothetical lady who got punched needs a place, place who's gonna take care of her, who's gonna say, okay, we are gonna take that man away for now. Now you said something about putting that man in what is the word, buddy?
Mental ward?
Someone
like psychiatric
exile?
Rehab?
Not exile. Someone who uses drugs. Rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wait, what?
you are assuming that every person who beats his wife has some sort of issues, which is not true.
I was just giving examples. I wasn't saying.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything specific.
So a lot of
you're
functioning
talking about
men.
a very specific situation.
Okay.
Really what?
No. So a lot of functioning men in the society beats their wife. In your country, in my country, in all other countries, that happens a lot.
Yeah, but we got
And that's what
uncles and
domestic,
dads and grandpas, and like there are other men around that like you don't just
not
like you
always,
said,
not
oh, it's just
always.
me with my
What
dad.
about what about nuclear families, and why is it a responsibility of other family members? What if they don't want to deal with it? What if they're like, okay, do what,
I
you
think
know
the
what,
nuclear
just
family is a
we don't
problem
give a fuck?
sometimes.
Or what if, so family values are different thing. We are talking about laws here. We are trying to make sure that if something like that happened, if my hypothetical wife beats me or I beat my wife, we have a place where we can actually seek justice. Now, in this situation, what I think it should be, it's not ideal right now, but what it should be, we should have laws in place. If a husband beats the wife and wife wants to complain against her husband, now that lady should be able to call the police. Police should come, take the husband away. Now they will check her if she has real injuries. If in case she might be lying, that's a real possibility. And if they can prove, and there's a situation where we know that she's not lying, in that situation we put that man away, and then we try to find out what should we do about this guy. Now this person can stay in jail, rehabilitation, whatever the fuck. Because if we don't have laws in place,
So just keep
we
doing
have
things
no
the
one
way we've always
accountable.
done it, is what you're saying.
we we didn't do a good job. Women were
So
forced
do what
to be a
do what
housemaker.
we've been messing, do what hasn't worked for 200 years, but do a better job at it. So
That
just vote
didn't
harder,
work
is what you're
actually.
saying.
Not everyone was happy. We had to literally fight for women to get voting rights. Uh,
No, you fought
okay,
for them
I don't
to
want
get
to share.
taxed. That was a bad idea on your part. You fought
No,
for them
it
to
wasn't.
get taxed.
It wasn't.
Yes,
They are
it
being
generates
taxed because they are
money for
making,
bad
because they are
things.
equal, because they are making the equal amount of money in certain situations. If you are making money,
Yeah,
you
but who
should be
cares if that
taxed.
money
It's
goes
that
towards
easy.
dropping bombs on kids in the Middle East?
We will go there. We will go there. How government should use money. We'll go there. Trust me. But let's right now stick to the topic, which is, should we have laws or not? Give me a
Yes.
solution where,
So you said
because you
earlier.
are
Let
assuming.
me go
Huh.
back to something you said. You
Nah,
said earlier, if I was
Let me
really
please let
mad,
me
I
continue.
might get violent.
Let me.
You said
I
I might punch someone if I was really mad, but if there
That's a
was a
possibility with
law,
everyone.
I wouldn't. If there wasn't a law, I'd be more apt to do it. If you're really mad, you're not thinking about laws.
Of course
Like,
you are. Come
That's the
on.
last thing. No,
Right?
you aren't.
The
When you're really mad, you're seeing
See,
red.
see.
You aren't thinking straight. You're trying to say you're
See,
logical during full anger.
you guys have
which
movie.
isn't
You
how
guys have a
people
movie
are.
about that. Now I don't like to give examples from movie, but you guys have a
Yeah,
movie where
garbage.
they remove all rules for laws for one night, and everyone is
Purge.
killing each
Yeah,
other.
those are terrible,
The Purge,
terrible,
yeah.
terrible
And
movies.
trust
They're
me, if
absolutely not
yeah,
true.
that's a
It's pure
terrible movie, because
propaganda.
but lot of things will
Terrible.
happen, because
Purge?
if poor people have an opportunity to literally steal from others, they are gonna steal. Of course they are.
Are they going to steal
If
from
you think
someone
we
if
have,
that person's armed?
so should we arm everyone? So someone, if have a
Yes,
personal,
absolutely.
uh,
Every single person.
that's what if that person have a psychological issues? What if that person is
Then
holding
they'll be
uh,
dealt with by the majority of the greater good very quickly.
greater
They'll be
good
completely dealt with.
ended with
You'd have to be completely
ended with mass
psycho
genocide in the
pull
past?
on a
Remember,
community that
every time we
harm.
didn't have laws, what happened? Mass genocides everywhere. Just
No,
if you have a Bible,
that's
pick your Bible.
when
If you
people
have a
were
Bible,
disarmed,
what
babe.
they did
That's
with
when people were
non-believers.
disarmed, not when laws were taken away. That's when people were disarmed. You have that happen when they get their guns
If
taken
you
away. Then they get.
so, if you
massacred.
give me a gun, and if you give Carson a gun and put us in a room to fight, I'm gonna die for sure.
Why would
Not
you fight?
everyone.
Why wouldn't you guys
Because
hug? Why would you fight? I don't
if
fight
there
people. I have
the
guns.
situation,
I don't fight anyone.
you have guns, you don't fight anyone, because you might be a nice person. You might be a person who don't want to hurt others.
And
But
I'm the
people are
majority. I'm
going
99%
with guns in
of this
schools
world
every
are nice
day.
people.
Kids
There's a
Kids
very
are going
small
in the
percent
schools and killing
that is
others.
nice.
That's happening here.
There's a very small
Excuse
percentile
me?
of our
Sorry.
population that's actual murders and killers that are actually breaking very serious, like natural
Which is
rights,
highest,
like rights violations.
by the way, which is
All
highest
these
in the
other
world,
looting and all
if you
this
think
stuff is
about
a
it.
joke. It's all those
What
aren't
is the
real laws.
percent? What, Jeffrey,
Yeah.
anyone, most people can buy guns in your country, right? You don't have very strong laws. How many
Yeah, our
people
laws are
are
very
in the
strong.
jail for crime, for violent crimes
Our
in your
laws are
country?
very strong to get guns. What do you mean? There's all
We
you have to
can't
wait.
buy guns. I cannot buy guns at all.
And if your government wanted to wipe out your entire country, they would be able to
And why would they do it?
easily.
If you believe
Easily.
that society can
They
take care
have.
of each other, why do you think government
They
want to
have.
do it? Especially
All
when
it
they're
takes is
making
one
money,
crazy
they are
person to get in control of the
one
government.
crazy person can't do anything in democracy. In democracy, one crazy person can't do anything at all.
Oh, yeah, that's if even that's like
But
yeah, that's a whole
when
different
you don't
story.
have
Whether or not our
laws,
voting
one
systems
crazy
are
person
real
can
or not.
actually doctrinate others and do a lot of crazy things. If you think about it.
No, when you're irate, when you're mad enough to be
Let me
violent,
give you
you
an
want
example,
people to
Hitler.
follow the laws.
Let me give you an example, Hitler.
Criminals do not follow
Hitler.
laws. That's like inherent in the word criminal. Like if you have a law,
Because
only laws
lot of
only
people
affect
never,
law-abiding
lot of people
citizens
not,
negatively.
lot of people
All
don't
these
even
laws.
become criminal because of laws. Lot of people,
Still murder
parents are not,
people all the time,
parents,
every day, and there's so many
parents,
laws. There's mass
Jeffrey,
shootings in
parents
gun
are not
free
teaching
zones,
their kids.
you know, but they still happen.
Jeffrey, parents are not teaching their kids to be good at stealing stuff.
Yeah, because they're at work
Carson, what happened, Carson? Is everything
24/7
okay?
paying the government because they have to work their lives away to pay the government, so they can't raise their kids. That's what I'm saying.
And they're getting something in return. I
No,
can
they're not.
agree
They're
with the
getting
tax
their kids.
percentage are higher.
The education system's terrible. Maybe okay. This is
So
another.
let's
Maybe in your
talk
country,
about fixing.
but ours is really
We have a
bad.
terrible education system right now. That's not the point. But let's then talk about fixing the education system. Because if individuals or
How about you give me
individual
another example of
organization took
something you
care of,
think government does right?
yeah.
What does government
Okay.
do right?
Are you asking me?
Give me yeah. So you said they
Government
make
really
roads,
helps.
but anyone can make a road.
Okay, so what government does right in my country is they used to
In
before
general,
2014.
Don't
Yeah, I'm
be
telling you. Okay.
non-specific.
Education.
But their
What
education
they
isn't
can.
great. A free market could
that
give
could-
better education where you'd be able to compete.
And-
You'd be able to go to
and
whatever school.
poor
you'd be
people
able to
will
go to
never
good
be-
schools
And
instead of
poor
being
people will
forced to go
never
to
be
bad
able to
schools.
afford that education. What about that? People with no
Can't
money
afford it because
will
we're
never
paying
be
all our
able to
money to the
afford it.
government. We're paying for a
Not
bunch of wars
everyone is
all over the
making
place,
money,
dude.
Jeffrey. Not everyone is making money. There are a lot of people who don't make any money at all. What about them?
The people
Those
that aren't
people
making
who
money
get
can't
checks
get a
every
job
month.
because there's a minimum
Those
wage.
people,
Because the government is
those
stopping
people-
them from getting a job.
minimum wage is a great thing. If you need a person,
No,
you
it's a
should at
terrible
least pay
thing.
that.
It illegalizes entry-level
people
positions
have-
into the job market. It's absolutely terrible. If you have two people,
People
if
are
you have a guy who wants a job, let me talk for a second. If you have one person
Okay.
who wants a job and an employer who wants to give a job for a agreed upon price, how is
Mhm.
that a bad thing? That is like that's illegal now. You can't do that. Who are you to say? Like, wouldn't you rather the
Let
guy
me
have
tell
a
you why
job and
that's
not
important.
have a job? Wouldn't you rather?
I have
him
an answer
a
for
job
that.
that he agrees
I have an answer
on
for
a
that.
wage for than not have a job?
I have an answer for that.
Okay.
People have been doing this for a long time. Before having rules about minimum wages, people were hiring people for literally like $2 a day. Now, even if I have nothing at all, I'm planning to eat biscuits in the morning and in the
Dollars aren't
night.
worth
And I will
anything because our government
I
has
will agree to
squandered
that.
the
And
value from them. Government has squandered the value from our monetary system. That's why $2 isn't worth anything anymore. $2 used to be enough for someone to live for a week. but our
And that
government
will
spends so
increase
much
with
money
time.
on bullshit
That's how money
that you
works.
don't.
Value of money is gonna drop with time.
No, it's dropped
That's
90% since we were our grandparents. Since our grandparents were our age, the dollar's dropped 99%. It's absolutely worth nothing. They just printed $20 trillion or something for the whole, you know, silly sickness thing. And
what silly
and
sickness?
so
What silly
and so
sickness?
this is you think we should keep doing
Oh,
this with these
if we are
governments
okay, let's
and
not talk about that
not have a
thing
federal
which happened
government
in
and
2019.
have
That let's not talk about what happened in
no.
2019. Yeah, because that might demonetize the entire channel.
So you
So
think we should keep doing this government thing? We should keep throwing different people at the government and seeing
I,
if we could like get a Bernie Sanders
yes,
in there or something like that.
no. What the idea is, we have senators on our level. We vote for senators. Senators
Free
go and
market would be
make
way
laws.
better at
We
all of these
need to
jobs.
tell them what we really want. We need, and people who have problem with governments need to go and participate themselves. That's how it's going to be better, because if we remove the government from the equation, a lot of people will be have no education, no jobs, and will be in the time where we literally have slaves for, and people will be working for $5 a day.
So
That's something you don't
if we
want.
get rid of government, we'd have slaves.
What do you think we
Like,
want?
do you think that
What
just
is a person?
everybody's
If
terrible? Do you think that we were put on this planet to be negative? I don't
is
understand.
no. What
Chaos, chaos. That's
my
all you
remark
think
was
is gonna
about financial situation, not literal slaves. What I finished my sentence with a person. I literally said that the person who's making $5 a day. If someone is making $5 a day, that person is something like slave. That's what I meant to say. I used the wrong word. So, because if we don't have laws in place, if we don't have to pay minimum wages, what we'll do? We won't pay.
People don't
Everyone
follow
will be
laws.
like,
You
okay,
keep
I'm
saying
gonna
that,
pay
but
this
we've
amount.
never had a good example of people following laws. They don't follow them.
People
Laws
do follow laws. What do you think? Majority is always out of the
law-abiding
prison.
citizens negatively. They don't control the behavior of criminals in the least bit. They
They
only
do.
neuter
That is the problem. If you make, if
I'm gonna pause you guys real quick. Okay.
okay,
I'm gonna ask Jeffrey a question and then you can bounce off of
as
it.
the moderator, you're allowed to jump in whenever you want.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
I feel bad jumping in because I want you guys to do whatever you want to do, but I see areas where maybe it can come together better. Okay.
That's what the
so
moderator's for. Yeah.
awesome. Okay. I'm just not used to it. But okay, Jeffrey. So let's imagine that the world goes the way you want it. No government. The free market's doing its thing. There is a chance. There's always a chance that it'll go perfectly exactly how you want it. But hypothetically, if for some reason the way it goes is certain people are paid so little and certain people are born dealt the wrong cards, so their brain isn't working as well as others, so they're not good at jobs. Let's say that even though there is a possibility that if there's let's say 10% of people can't work well and normally would need something like welfare like we have now. There can be people donating money to help these people out. But let's say hypothetically, nobody donates the money and there are people that are starving. What do you propose happens if you see the world play out this way?
So this is a Hollywood Wild West version of what it would look like if we didn't have a government. This is absolutely so. Let's say today, Biden goes, guess what? I'm done with this shit. Burns it all down, right? Do you think teachers aren't going to go to work the next day if they're going to be getting paid way more than they were before? Do you think everyone's just going to not go to work and just let everyone starve? I don't see this big negative. It's like Hollywood has just forced this idea of chaos and anarchy. Anarchy to me is people being able to grow food in their yard and not get the cops coming and pointing a gun at them. You know?
Yeah. No.
Like,
so I'm saying, let's imagine there's no cops. There's no cops. There's no government. There's a free market.
There would
I'm just saying
be cops. There would be security of some sort that the free market would supply.
Yeah, I'm saying let's imagine the world
to go back to this idea that if the federal government was gone, we're going to go back to the Stone Ages is absolutely ridiculous. We're going to keep going at Mach 10. Think about how many jobs. Hold on. There's all these people that can't get jobs because government regulation, right? That's going to be gone. Anyone could start
Yeah.
a business out of their garage that used to be illegal. Like, you won't be getting half of your paycheck taken away for some federal government to go bomb people with if the
Yeah.
government's gone.
Well,
We're not
hold
going
on,
to
hold
go
on.
back to the Stone Ages.
I-
The
I think it-
free market enterprise will take over and do a way better job.
Well,
Carson,
I think
I should start
I
with
think
this.
I think it might have sounded like I was setting up a trap, and I'm not. You don't have to. You could answer it with
No, most
that will
people-
never
most
happen.
people
Well,
share that
you
idea
hold on.
that-
You could say that'll never happen, so I'm not going to answer the question. But if you're up for answering the question, I'm just curious. So imagine the world went exactly. You press a button and it could go exactly how you want. Because I have an idea of how I would want the world to go perfectly.
Yeah.
So imagine it went perfectly how you wanted, and then in this world that you wanted, the only difference, the only thing that changed is, let's imagine it happens to accidentally make, let's say 5%. 5% of the humans in the world, or whatever, let's just say in the area that used to be the US but is now how Jeffrey would want it, 5% cannot afford to eat or find food to eat, and with all the people doing the donations to help poor people, it still leaves 5%
You're narrowing
unable
it
to eat.
down really
Very
specific.
specific. Yep.
Yeah,
So-
like, I don't see
I-
how this is productive is what I'm saying. These very
Well, I'm
specific
just curious.
circumstances.
Okay,
You
sorry,
know,
I'll
we-
rephrase my question. And maybe my original question is the answer to my new question. My new question is,
Yeah.
what would it take to get you to change your mind? And then whatever you say, Vaibhav, go off of that.
What the government is.
If you were to write down a whole book of the detail of
would.
exactly how you
Maybe
think everything should go,
rather-
no laws, no government. Okay, yeah,
So,
either one. you
like
pick one.
how I want it, and then there's this 5% that somehow doesn't have food. Somehow, the 95% of people, I absolutely don't believe that this would ever happen. 95% of the country is going to completely let 5% starve. I don't buy that. In my place.
Well, according to Peter Singer, it takes approximately $3,000 to $5,000 of donation to save a human life. And this seems to be well documented. And I know my family would, if we saw somebody on the street and we knew for a fact that paying $5,000 would save their life, we would do it. But we don't donate any money anywhere. So the knowledge that
Sorry, can you hear me?
people,
I'm here.
yeah, the knowledge that people might not donate money to people and not help every single starving person in the world, I think it's humanly possible to exist. But anyways, it's not a topic I care too much about on the topic.
Like
It just
churches,
felt like
there
something
are
that could help you
so
guys out.
many charities that would feed 5%. I don't think that would ever happen. And
Okay.
kind of like shaping a society around to help that 5%, I think is why we have the problem we have in California, at least right now. I don't think that's the right way of going about it. I don't think trying to control markets is a good idea. I don't think trying to control people's rights is a good idea. I don't think taking people's rights away is a good idea. I think jail is a massive rights violation, considering how smart we are. We could come up with such better ways of dealing with criminals than simply just throwing them, taking their freedom away and sending to a place where they'll become bigger criminals. It's just not a good system, and there's many, many better ways of doing things than being some elite group of sociopaths take care of all of the money and murder people with our money.
Okay.
Like.
Well, let's get
anything
specific on something.
anything positive towards government, like. There's nothing that government can do to make up for what it does overseas and what it's done for 200 years, dropping bombs on people. There's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's get more.
Now I
Let's
need a
just go.
chance to speak.
Yeah, let's just get more
And that's-
specific.
This
Let's
is why
get.
these
Let's let's pick a topic.
because people just don't care.
Okay, well, hold on, Jeffrey. Hold on. Let's let Vaibhav talk. Pick a topic and maybe direct a question directly at him.
So before I speak a topic, I think Jeffrey have problems with policies than laws. What I am gathering right now, that Jeffrey have problems with different policies, which is different from laws. And okay, let's. I want to imagine do that hypothetical situation as well. So let's say we everything is gone, all governments are gone overnight. Now we have a society where certain people are physically strong, certain people have more manpower. There are a lot of good people, there are a lot of bad people. That's how society is. Now everyone who has more manpower is gonna build for themselves. Is that same person is gonna team is gonna try and gather stuff. People with lot of power also wants money for themselves, food for themselves. Those people are gonna go out and commit crime for sure, because that's how it's always been. We are humans, we always try to have little extra than we need, and when we don't have a system in places, history, just think about it. Every time we said it's okay to kill others, we killed people. Every time we said okay, it's fine to put people in
Who
gas
said
chambers,
that
we
it's okay
did
to
that.
kill people? I don't understand that statement. Who said it's okay to kill
I'm
people?
talking about Nazi Germany. I'm talking about Nazi Germany. People were literally they put literally people
40
in gas
million
chambers.
people died in a war. Like,
I
why
I am not.
specifically
I
them?
don't support
I'm
wars,
confused.
buddy. I don't support wars,
You
and
support government,
I
therefore you do support war.
no. It's not the same.
Yes.
I
Yes.
want changes in my government. I want to participate as much as
It
I
won't
can.
change. It
That's
will
how
never
it should
be.
be. If you remove the
Our
government out of the
grandparents wanted the
equation,
same thing, and we still don't have it today. As long as there is a government, they will be holding us back. You won't ever get how you
what
want it to
about
be.
the support we get from the government? What about
We
that?
get no
Because
support from the
society is
government.
not gonna help each
They
other. That
steal
Hold
from
on,
us.
hold
society
on, hold
never
on,
did.
hold on.
They
We
steal
got to get
half of
specific.
our
We got to
labor.
get specific. You guys are not
Okay.
getting specific. So in VapeHab, when you say the government supports us, you would have to pick an element of what it supports,
Education,
and then Jeffrey can
education,
counter that.
medical education,
Nope, no,
medical support.
not education and medical. Education. Okay. Now Jeffrey, how is he wrong?
Okay.
I would rather go with medical. Let's
Okay,
go
medical.
Hold on.
Medical.
Medical
Jeffrey,
support,
how
yeah.
is he wrong?
Education, schools will exist with a government or not, and they will be way better than if there was with a government. Both of our
Okay,
countries are
okay.
very
Jeffrey,
low.
Jeffrey,
No,
Jeffrey,
let me
Jeffrey, please,
talk.
please, please.
No,
Well, he
you
just
gotta
wants
let
to
me
switch
answer
over
the
to
question.
medical. Are you cool with switching to medical?
No, no, no. I want to answer that question. The
Oh,
quality
okay.
of
So
education.
hospitals
I
won't exist if the government's not around, is what you're saying.
okay,
Schools
okay.
and
No, no. I'm
hospitals
not saying
will
that.
just
I am
vaporize,
not saying that,
and
Jeffrey. I'm not saying that. Jeffrey,
because there's
what
no
I'm saying
private
is,
institutions in our communities now, right?
I am not saying that, Jeffrey. Please let me make my point. What I'm saying is, we still have education, maybe the better quality, but not everyone will be able to afford that education. You're not talking about
Absolutely, they will, because
everyone.
we won't be paying half of our
How?
money to a government
Not
that
everyone is
taxes
paying taxes
us.
right now. Do you think everyone in your country pays taxes? You pay
What?
taxes, maybe you pay taxes on
To
stuff,
breathe in
but
the
you don't
United States, you pay taxes. You pay taxes on gas. You pay taxes on food. You pay taxes
Yes,
everywhere in the United States. They
because you
triple
pay
tax
for
you for things,
processes.
and
If
then
you
they
are
go
not
bomb
paying
people with it.
taxes, you'll be paying the
They
charges.
go bomb
You
people
will
with
be
it,
paying
and start
something
puppet
anyways.
governments in other countries and kill, murder millions of people.
So
Governments.
let's say
They do it
tomorrow
all the
government,
time.
let's say tomorrow your government said we won't have any more wars. Let's say tomorrow your government said we will not fund any war by a single dollar. Will you be
Yeah.
okay with your country then? Yes.
If they're cutting the taxes, that's one step in the right direction. Because if they're not doing the
Will
wars
you be
anymore, they don't need
okay?
to tax us nearly as much.
Your government supported Ukraine. What do you think about that?
I have nothing to do with my government. I don't follow my
No,
government.
but
I don't
do you have thoughts on that?
care what. I know there's a lot of
Do you have thoughts
propaganda.
on that?
I think
Do you have
I
thoughts
think
on that?
the same bankers control all those countries, and they're squandering the money from those countries by pitting them against each other. They pay for both sides, all the banks.
Do you have thoughts on that? Your government supported Ukraine by providing money,
I don't think my
manpower,
government should
and
support
weapons.
anyone. anyone whatsoever.
Why not?
I think the
Why not?
billions that
That
have
we-
gone to Ukraine is an
So you-
absolute tragedy
So
to happen to the United States taxpayers.
okay, so you're telling me that in a society people will take care of each other, but you don't want your government to support other nation. People like you,
I
I'm
think
gonna
the-
be rude here. People like
No,
you.
wait, hold on.
is
I'm going to
the
stop you
problem
from being
here.
rude. Okay, I'm going to stop you.
People like you.
Instead of wording that about his government, the question is, would your
I'm an
non-government
anarchist. I don't.
Yeah. So would your so rephrasing his question, would your society of no government, where it's community based and all the things you want, would that group of people, the people that are donating the money to make sure everybody's educated and everybody gets food, would they donate money
It's not
for
donation.
things like
private
Ukraine?
Private industry would start, schools. It's not like everyone's having to donate. Like
Yeah.
a school would be just like a business. Like the firemen would just
No,
there'd be five
I
different
was-
fireman companies, and they
I
compete
was
against
just-
each other to give the best.
I was
What if
sorry.
someone
I
can't
think.
afford
Well,
those
hold on. No.
facilities?
Stop. I think Jeffrey missed my question because my question was at the end. But I was trying to rephrase Vaibhav's question. Would there be a collection of donations for helping things like the Ukraine situation?
If okay, so in my utopia, American utopia, there would be 50 different cities that have a different flavor of government in every single one of them. You would have the option to move to any of these places that you want. So you would have, the people that like are really scared about the silly sickness and the thingies. They would go live in a certain place. You'd have different flavors of different cities with no government, flavors of cities with tons of government. You'd have the option to go to whichever one you want. Where we have it now, or if you have one authority, you have to do whatever they say, and it tends to, when that happens, you get you really lose what the people want, and you get with all these psycho rich people, elite ones. So when you have these different flavors of cities, and the ability to kick bad actors out of these cities and to have them go live in lesser cities, it gives you a lot more options, a lot better options than just simply taxing everyone to death, building a prison industrial complex.
No. Hold on. No. None of that. Hold on. We got to stay focused. No, it's all right. But just
Man,
would there be any? You're fine. Would there be any help to foreign countries? Is the only question.
Okay, so sorry, that's why I went on that tangent.
You're good. Don't worry about it.
If any of these communities decide that's something they want to do, they would do that. They could do that if they want, not forced by at the barrel of the gun by a government who's going, you better give me money for this place. People would be able to do, and if they have more money, they have more money to be charitable. We don't have money to be charitable now. We just expect our tax money to go to charities or to help people. So if we had a ton more money not being taxed, living in a cool place with a good financial system, people would be able to give away money, but it would be their choice. They were their choice, not forced by the barrel of a gun by some dictator.
Okay. Vaibhav?
Oh gosh, a lot.
I'm twisting his brain pretty hard.
Yeah, you are. Because
And you guys only got 5 minutes for this talk, and then I'm going to challenge Jeffrey on some things if he's up for it.
Okay. So quickly, first of all, I just want to go back to women for 1 minute only. Women used to take care of houses, and now because of feminism, we are taxing them. Not a bad thing.
And they're being taxed
No,
now.
wait. Let me complete. I'll just use 2 minutes. Not a bad thing. People, now women can go and work, and now they can pay their taxes. Not a problem. If you have a problem with taxes and percentage of taxes, that's something different. If you have problem with how any government uses the money, that's a completely different thing. What I wanted to talk about, should we have systems in place or not? Should we have written laws and policies or not? That's something I came here to talk about. And I still say that we need those things because people are not usually charitable. I talk to like 200 people every week and every one of them assures me, okay, I'm gonna donate to your charity. Like couple of people will are gonna do it.
That's because they're in the present system where they're being taxed into poverty
No,
and they
not
don't have
that's
the
not the
money to be
reason.
charitable.
I know people who has lot of money, way more than they need, but people
This is an
are not
anecdote.
charitable. Whatever. Like I really can't do anything about it. And in the society where we don't have laws, we don't have systems in check, we don't have people. It sometimes it hurts. It hurts because I don't have a registered NGO or non-government organization. Because when I was 19, I punched someone. That person broke his nose, and I'm still paying for that. I get that. Sometimes we have problems with government. I totally agree with you. What I don't agree with is just because we have negatives, we can't say that we don't have positive. Take away government, there will be best education possible because people will be paying for that. But not everyone will be able to pay for that. We'll have best hospital, but people not everyone is going to be able to pay for that. The problem comes with not having a government is way more serious than the problem we have right now.
You can't have a quality of outcome in the real world, man. Like everybody can't be the same across the board. Like there has to be
Of
an
course
ebb
not.
and a flow, and the sour and the sweet. There has to be ups and downs. Like there's
Yes.
there's no government that's going to make everything level for everyone.
No.
It's an absolute pipe
Well,
dream, and there's no government or
I
system that's
agree
going
with
to stop
you.
crime. We will always have
Agree
crime.
with you. But government is our best
And
option.
okay, why don't you think the free market could handle these problems better than some narcissistic psychopathic dictators?
Because we don't have if individuals don't have a reason to be charitable. Or not
That's
those
not what
lot
I
of
asked.
people are not.
Why don't you think that free market
Free market will
like
be
industry
expensive.
would be able to not with government not taxing you half of your money, you'd be able to
This is the
afford
first
these
time
things
I'm on
and
Jeffrey's
price
When
side
go
here.
when government taxes when government taxes you, you get something in return. What about that? No
you
one.
do not. I don't
Do
get
you remember?
anything
Do you
for
know
the taxes
what
that are stolen
segregation
from me.
was? Do you know what
I get
segregation is?
held down by my government with a boot on my neck.
When segregation happened in your country, people, I'm going to use the word, when black people went in different kinds of school and
Woo!
rich white people went to different kinds of school, that happened in your country. That's why we need government in place, because when they removed segregation, we started seeing more black
No,
educated
actually,
people.
the government,
That
local
really
governments
happened.
and police let that racism be that way. It was
Yes,
the
and they fixed
government and
it.
the police
They
that
fixed
allowed that.
it because everyone was racist, government was racist. But when government fixed anything, fix things, because people,
So you
individual
say
society
government's
don't have
racist,
reasons.
but we
Society
need to
don't
keep
change.
doing racist governments. Like
No,
I
government
think
changed it. Government changed it. People, individuals are not gonna change it.
yeah, absolutely they
I
will.
know some. I
There's
read
more
about
good
some
people on this
here.
world than there are bad people. The bad people are
There's
very low
there's a
percentile.
statue in California. Some guy called his last name was Lee Lee. He wasn't Chinese. That person have a literally entire episode on PragerU. That's an educational website, which is not really educational. So that someone broke that statue, everyone got angry because that person stopped black people from fighting against racism. That's what we had as government. But right now things are better. Things are getting better every day because we represent our government. Not everyone, but most of us.
You think
We need
things are
some
getting
sort of
better in this
laws.
world?
Governments are getting better
There's
because people have more
billions of
control. We
laws.
have
What new laws do you want, dude? What laws? What more
I
laws do we need?
want current laws to stay. I want current laws to stay. I want someone to enforce those laws. Because if those laws are
These laws
not
have been
enforced,
enforced for 100
someone can
years.
literally come inside my house, shoot me, and take away everything. That can
If
happen
you
if we
had a
don't have
gun, you'd be
police.
able to stop them, though. And
No, I
that's
won't be
why we
able
have a
to.
republic in the USA.
You are assuming that I'll be able to stop them. And what if I can't?
You'd
If
at
I
least have a
didn't stop
chance,
them,
brother. You'd have a good chance.
so give people. I
Better
don't.
than
I
having
don't agree
no
with
chance.
it. Then let people have guns, and if they don't, if they can't save themselves, at least we'll have someone looking for the people who stole stuff or killed someone. We'll have something in
You
place.
don't think that the family of the people who gets killed aren't going to want to find that person? You don't think communities can find that person? You don't think they could hire a private
Mahatma
detective to find the person that shot that?
Mahatma Gandhi
Like,
once said,
how
"Eye
many
for an
movies
eye
have you
will."
seen where the police don't find the killer and
All right.
some random
It
people
happens.
do?
It happens.
You know?
Police not solve the crime always. Just 1 minute, Carson.
Uh,
Eye for an eye will
police
make the
are terrible.
whole world blind. What you are talking about
They
is revenge.
steal from good
What I'm
people.
talking
That's all
about
they do.
is
They're
laws
bad
in
actors.
place so we can stop these things. At least few people will not be. Few people will be like, okay, there are some side effects. I'm not gonna do it. I think we
Okay.
don't have any more time.
Yeah, we got to
So
call
I'll
it on
leave.
this one. Well, it's going to kind of continue because I made a list for Jeffrey.
Yeah.
I got some questions. But I'm glad you guys got that talk, and that was cool. Vabehab, I'm gonna kick you to the curb,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'll see you
and
around.
I'll watch online. Yeah.
Awesome, it's good talking, man.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Woo! It is hot in California, man. I'm dying.
Oh yeah,
here.
yeah. I'm in Oregon. It's not as hot as as it is for you, but yeah, it's been
Oregon's
hot
nice.
lately.
I like Oregon.
Yeah. Me too. Okay, so I'm gonna get. I always feel weird when I'm like moderating something because I just think of all the questions
Yeah, you
I
have
want
so
to
much you
ask.
want to talk about. Yeah.
Right. Okay, and so mine are like direct questions. I'm very much getting on like precise, break it down, little minute things. Okay. So let's go back real quick to that situation where the domestic violence. Not that this matters, but I'm going to read a stat just so we can know. Now, you might be right. In a better world without government, we would have different stats because people would have different mindsets. But 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men experience severe intimate partner physical violence. And one other fun fact, and I just Googled
1 in
this
9?
now. 1 in
Those
9
numbers
men.
again? Sorry.
Yeah, 1 in
Yeah.
9 men and 1 in 4 women. And then also, fun fact.
I think it was more than that.
Yeah, the number one cause of pregnant women dying is domestic violence. Yeah, it's pretty wild. So anyways, but it's hard to know because I'm not going to make any claim that if we shifted how we did things, it wouldn't boost take away a lot of levels of depression and boost a lot of things. I'm just pointing out that humans can be violent, which I think you're aware of. Okay, so let's say in your world, we have that situation that you guys talked about where a man beats his wife up and then tell me again what happened. She goes and tells her brother and father or something.
In Jeffrey Anarchy Land, the general public would be more prepared, less apprehensive to talk about, more direct, less negative stigma around these types of things. So you would have. So in my perfect world, yes, the woman would obviously tell someone in her family or something like that. The men of that group would confront this person and possibly to adjudicate how severe the rights violation is.
Okay.
Obviously hitting your wife is pretty bad. So this would be, there would be a different urgency level. This would be like, okay, is this guy willing to go, is this guy sincere about willing to go to, some sort of psychological rehab or mental illness place or, forcing people to go to therapy doesn't do anything. You have to actually want to do therapy to do therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So, you would have basically the men of the community would get in between that situation and figure out what exactly needs to happen. Because in a tight community, that man who did the hitting, that family's around and they're going to be really concerned too. They're going to be like, what's going on? So you're going to have two families, hopefully, in this more educated, place that I live in. which I live in, you would get good communication skills between those family, and they would, there would be many options for things to do. And especially in my land, having, being in the future and having the free market offer a lot of solutions that I don't even know about, that we don't know about yet. We can't say what the free market's going to bring us in the future if, regulation gets out of the way.
Okay.
So
well, let me
there would be like a security force you might have to call, that would be a private company that is very professional, that's held to a standard by the community who votes with their dollar. This security company would be giving the best service for the lowest amount of money. That's what happens when you have competition. So these community members might be like, hey, we need to call the cops because this guy's nuts. He's got to go be dealt with in some other way that isn't the community, the tribe, basically.
Okay. So do you think the cops must be called?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay. So San
Francisco right now, listen to this. This is something. This is kind of a good metaphor for what I'm proposing. San Francisco, when they hear mental illness, they send therapists now. When someone calls the cop and is like, someone's going crazy, they send therapists first now. And guess what? Cops aren't shooting half as many people as they used to shoot. There are way better ways of doing things instead of just calling the cops or filming it for YouTube, which is what mostly
I would be
happens
curious to see how many therapists die, and then how many people that therapists get called to, how many of them die because of it being a therapist versus a cop. But anyways, let's look at
so far, and they've been doing it a while.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. So
Usually
here's the reason
go ahead.
Here's the reason I asked if the security that you were referring to would always be called, because I think investigations are pretty important. So it's good to find out, to see, did anybody have anything recorded? Was anything filmed? If the lady's saying that he punched her, let's see if there's marks on his hand. What if she hated her husband and wanted to frame him, so she got a friend of hers to beat her up, and then goes and tells her family members in the community, look what my husband did, to get back at him or something. I think it's important to have professionals of some kind, even if it's hired by a community, to be investigators, because that's their profession. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but I think, I mean, as I said before, my community is running at like kind of at a different level and a different headspace.
Well, would it be fair if he got any kind of a outcome without him being presumed innocent?
I think a tight community could investigate way better than any professionals. Especially if both families are working. I don't want to get too specific about any circumstances, because that's where things kind of get like ridiculous. But and then in this place too, my fantasy land, my utopia, people, the community has more time to deal with these issues, because like I was saying, be able to work 2 months and take the rest of the year off, because there'd be like a real economy going on that isn't being completely taken, by the government. I'm trying to like people be like, oh, who has the time to do this kind of thing? And it's like in my utopia, people aren't working as much. So there's actually time to deal with these kinds of social issues that now we pay the cops to deal with in a terrible way.
Yeah, and you could be right. I just want to break down this idea to see if we can kind of figure this out. Let's make it more advanced to something like rape. Let's say I'm going for a walk, and
any rights violation doesn't matter, because the community is going to adjudicate it at any, at however severe it is. If someone gets punched, it's not the same as someone who gets assaulted sexually.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little gnarlier. So it's not like, okay, you guys want to fight it out, or you punched this guy, you said you're sorry, now give this guy $500 and we're done. Or, in a rape, obviously it's more, it's a different situation. It's like, okay, now we have mental illness here, now we need to talk to therapists, or some sort of other, some other thing.
Yeah.
I
Well,
just
okay. So here for about like a year and a half now, I've been kind of writing a book on how I would want to form a society, and I would change a lot of things from how they are now. But I also would need a lot of convincing to go with the route you're going, which is why I kind of want to grill you on this. Because any great idea you have, I would love to hear it. Because then that would be
Yeah.
my idea. I want anytime I hear something I think is right, it becomes what I believe. And so
Yeah.
when I think of the past, when I think of anything before the 1990s. I'm glad that there is like this idea of presumed innocent and innocent till proven guilty. But in almost all of history, before DNA testing, cameras, honestly, I think security cameras are probably the most important thing that has ever existed in human history.
phone-
And then
phone
after
cameras.
that, yeah, and then after that would be something like DNA testing. And so, because the most important thing for humans is to live, is to be protected from being killed, whether it's protected by your community or government. Either way, the protection is what's important. And so,
Yeah.
when I think of the past, somebody can say, "Oh, this person raped me, or this person killed me," and or not killed me, but this person raped this person, or this person killed this person, and there's like no way to prove things. So you had little bits of
Yeah.
evidence and little bits of witnesses
I
and
get where
so
you're
many
going.
innocent people. Okay, so I guess my
So-
point is I can't imagine any piece of violence where you don't have a crew, and this can happen in an anarchist world. We would just need to figure out how it's framed. You would have to have a crew that does the DNA testing and looks at the security footage and investigates.
So each one of these different flavors of towns that societies or communities that I've told you about, they're going to have a different level of security there. There will be some places with no security. You'll have like where the rednecks want to hang out and just, but most communities would have a security force, but it would not be the cops. It would be very different looking thing with, probably more like how they're trying to do it in San Francisco, where they're throwing therapists at them instead of cops with guns, because half the time, when you go at violence with violence, or if you go at something with violence, you'll probably get violence back. And that's half the problem with cops is they go, so they're, obviously the best way of doing it isn't sending the cops in all the time. So there are better ways of dealing with crimes and criminals. And like I said before, the amount of actual bad actors there will be in society is very low, and is. Even now, it's very low. It's just we have the media shoving it down our throats, saying it's happening all around us. They're hyper focusing on one small,
No, I
play.
agree. I mean, the media, the news's point is to show the craziest shit, so it looks like a lot more crazy stuff is happening than is, which is why I'm shocked that you're talking about cops doing all these horrible things, because I feel like that's precisely what the media is making look happen, where when you look at the stats, it clearly isn't happening unless you're claiming that the stats are being covered up by some secret group.
Cops
Oh,
doing
just
terrible things. I mean,
Yeah, just cops doing terrible things seem to, when you look at the stats,
I
and
think
when you
cops generating revenue is the worst thing they do, pretty much. I mean, outside
yeah,
of shooting
maybe
people,
with
but-
having a quota to pull people over for speeding tickets, but as far as the idea of them shooting like unarmed innocent people, it seems like that's the media stirring up some nonsense.
Okay.
We can look at stats and
could or could be, but I mean, there are cops do kill people all the time, especially since Rodney King. Like people, like people burnt down LA because the cops beat up Rodney King, and cops kill people all the time now, and no one even cares.
I don't think they
like.
do. I really don't think they do. But that could be a separate talk.
The media wants them to care, then they'll care, because the media shoves it down their throats and makes them crazy.
Yeah, we can look into that later, but let's focus. I really want to focus on your thoughts here, because honestly, I'm really curious to see if any of them will come over to become my thoughts. So let's imagine we have a bunch of different communities. They're great. And then we have the redneck one, like you were talking about, where there's no forced security. There's nothing forced in any of this because there's no government. And the redneck ones go, no, we don't care about DNA testing. We don't care about security cameras. We know our community and we trust who we trust. So if this lady says this happened, then we're going to handle it how we handle it. And but also, we don't care about the children in our community. Weird hypothetical, but let's say kids keep getting like raped and dumped in a river or whatever. But this community doesn't care. And then let's say Philip or not Philip, sorry. I saw your last name. Jeffrey is him and a couple buddies from his community are just traveling around the world. They hop on bikes. They want to have you. Oh yeah, you're a biker. You hop on bikes and you just want to go around the world and do this thing. And you end up in this community. Yeah, you end up in this community and you hear all these children keep dying, but nobody cares. What do you think about this? You just go, oh, bummer, but you know?
Yeah. So so basically, you don't have to live there. So
The kids
you
do.
have the ability to leave. You have the ability to move wherever you want. It's not like here where you have to stay there and deal with all those laws. So you'd have the ability to leave. But if there was some sort of massive rights violations going on, surrounding communities can pool their security forces together, probably, to do something about it. Rights violations are rights violations no matter what. Like I mentioned voluntarism, and the non-aggression principle and basic common law and natural rights, rights that we have, like I have a right to live, I have a right to breathe air, I have a right to eat. Like you have these rights, I have, and these are the only real laws. All these other laws are just revenue generating, controlling things.
Well, they're Jeffrey's philosophical laws, right?
What's that?
Like they're Jeffrey's philosophical laws. Like I agree with your laws, but these aren't laws governing this anarchist world. They can't be. Because not everybody would agree with them.
The world is a bunch of different communities that have their own rules, and with the ability of you having the ability to opt out and move around, to fit
if
your,
they let you.
It would look just like if the feds disappeared tomorrow, this country would look exactly the same. They would just become safer and more secure. And San Francisco would have its stay San Francisco probably, and Texas would stay Texas, and Florida would stay Florida with their same values. If you want to go ride around the country now, I know if I ride around the country, there's some places I'm gonna skip, So you can't always have everything. There's always gonna, and I'm not saying that this is the perfect system. It's just way better than what we have now. And it's something that's totally attainable, I think, in my lifetime. I know that's crazy.
So
but
what, you ever been to Alabama?
I have not.
Yeah, it's all right. I've been there.
I haven't been that much to the south.
So let's say Alabama's split into 10 communities, and 9 of the 10 are just the most religious.
Well, Alabama wouldn't exist anymore because there's no government.
Yeah, no government, but just say the area that we think of.
Communities that have different rules.
I don't know why I'm picking out.
Changing and moving, or things would be often changing. People would move away, people would move in, the laws would change in those areas. You just have the ability to move around and go to a place that suits yourself better.
Yeah. But let's just say the area that we think of as Alabama now, it becomes 10 different communities. There's 10 communities in all of the land of what's Alabama. And 9 of these 10 happen to be super religious, extreme Christian, but really over the top, Mennonite type. And one of them happens to be a very progressive community, and there's all the gay people in the world, there's all the drag queens, all the things. Everybody's just living life and having a good time. And the other 9 are slowly thinking this through. They view it like it's their mission to destroy these people, and then eventually they do. The 9 get together. They've been having meetings, and they go and execute every single person in that group of gay, trans, drag queens.
You would be assuming that they didn't have security.
Nope, I'm assuming that they kill their security.
Well, then something would have to happen. Again, the local communities seeing that as a threat. Well, for one, it's very expensive and very low. You don't get anything from going and killing people. A bunch of people going and killing a bunch of people. That's again, Hollywood stuff. It's not a little weird, but
I think there are some religious people. No offense to specific religions.
If some group got a little too big and they were punching out, the surrounding communities would absolutely be completely free to punch in. It's called self-defense. There would absolutely be self-defense in my community. You know, it's not that it's not a pacifist community. We're all human. We're not perfect. So there's going to be there's going to be conflicts and stuff, but it's so expensive to go to war that community might not see it be worth it to go do that. But when you have a government that's just stealing gazillions of dollars and doing whatever they want, you know, it's like it's hard to it's not as easy to control. It's harder to do damage when you have a small community that's just trying to get by, you know, and then you have like all of a sudden they just want to kill their neighbors. Most likely in my world, nobody's going to give a shit what the next community is doing, you know, because they're not connected. They're different. So
yeah,
I you know, this whole caring about what everyone else is doing is like a really current thing that like I explained earlier, government, TV, all this voting stuff. It's like we shouldn't have the ability to control the rights of others and what others do in the least bit. But we feel like we have to, and we have to like build this perfect world where everyone's going to get paid attention to and everyone's going to get happy and equality of outcome, which is completely not realistic, nor would it be good, because then everything would be very bland. You know, you have to have the sweet if you want the sour, and you have to have the sour if you want the sweet. Like,
yeah,
you have to have, you know.
so
like,
yeah, no, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. Here's what I'm trying to figure out. So obviously, you can't create a government and then force it to stay good. But if we're talking about hypothetical worlds, we're talking about hypothetical version of a world without a government. What I'm trying to figure out is how could the world you're talking about be better than the world you're talking about where you add one thing. You add a government that does a couple little things, and I'm going to tell you what those couple are. A government that has a small military for invaders, has laws that protect people's negative rights. Let's say it protects people's freedom of speech from the government. It protects people's ability to have guns, to do whatever they want to do, but also it punishes people that are violent to others or want to enslave others. And that's it. You just can't enslave others, and you can't be violent to others for no reason. Like, obviously, self-defense is fine, and you can't kill people. And let's say the government only did that, and every other issue you have with the government didn't happen, and the police that we can call whatever you want to call that enforce the laws, let's just say they aren't like the ones we have today. They are forced to only be able to do what they're supposed to do and do a good job of it. And let's say we magically were able to make sure everybody had body cams, audio recording.
Hold on. You're asking a question here and it's getting really long.
No, but it's simple. It's simple.
Again.
It's
So
government,
military. What are the three things they do? I could write it down. What do they do?
So government, we have military.
Okay, so the laws thing. Let me do the laws thing first, right?
Okay, yeah.
So in my land, I want to move to San Diego, right?
Okay.
I go on my app on my phone. I look up San Diego's website and I say, hey, I want to live there. They say, oh, great. This is the type of insurance you have to have. We don't take people like this. This is our rules. Come here. I go there. They give me a stack of rules. I read through them. Don't kill people. Don't speed on our freeways. Don't shoot guns. And, like a list of rules. If you break these rules, we will fine your insurance company this amount of money. Your insurance will obviously go up. And the next time you do something, we might kick you out. And you won't be able to, then you'll have a ding on your lifetime insurance, that you aren't trusted to be in these nice communities. So the legal system now is, let's drag everyone through the courts, see if they knew what they were doing is bad.
I'm not talking about legal system now.
Yeah. Oh, so
I'm trying to compare your world to my world.
Yeah. So
and my world's as simple as that little thing I said.
We need a government for courts. And this is my response is you would already know what you aren't supposed to do. And your insurance will cut you you'll have to like if you kill someone, your insurance is gonna, you're already signed something saying, I know I can't kill people. And I signed it saying, if I kill someone, my insurance is going to pay that family $1 million, and I'm going to get ejected from this town, and I'll never be allowed to live in a nice city again for the rest of my life. Go live in the Badlands. So to need if you already know the rules and there's already a contract in place and your insurance company already has told you the deal, what do you need a court system for? The other question I have for you is, why do you think some random government will do things better than the free market? Why, if private schools are so much better than public schools, why would you think that they would do the private industry would do worse at these municipal offerings that the government gives us with our tax dollars?
No, I'm all for the free market. And I didn't say anything about school. I said the government in the one I'm talking about that we can compare to yours. The only difference from your world and the one I'm talking about would be a forced from the top, not being able to be physically violent, including rape, murder, anything like that. And there's a law enforcement that would enforce those details. They'd be able to do DNA testing. They'd be able to investigate.
Absolutely. Yeah, no,
and that's
it'd be the
all
best
they would control.
Security the world has ever seen. When a bunch of security companies in the private free market are competing against each other, where like if a cop these days kills someone, they get a vacation and a bonus and they get their job back. With insurance, in an insurance-based society, a cop would need a security officer would need to carry a gun would need liability insurance. And if he shoots someone, that insurance company is going to investigate and see what happened. And if that cop shot him, he gets fired and never is a cop again. That doesn't happen in our system today, but in an insurance-based society, it would. Like, you would know ahead of time that these things are bad and that you're going to get your ass kicked out of the town. So, and it's private industry doing it that the people in that community have paid and voted for with their dollar.
Yeah, but here's the problem. I'm trying to make sure that everybody feels like I don't feel safe in your world, and I want to. Your world sounds terrifying. It sounds like the Wild West.
How so? If you have everything you have, what don't you have in my world that you have now?
So in your world, if I decide on my own to leave one community and go to the next, and if I'm gay, I could just be hung and nobody cares.
Why would you want to live someplace where
I wouldn't want to? What if I don't have time to get out? How am I going to know?
The world isn't perfect. You can't just have everything be perfect. There's going to be some places that people won't like you. But you can have it a lot more perfect than having communities all over. People's behavior. It's a rights violation.
It's also a rights violation to hang gay people.
And homophobic, they're allowed to be. You aren't going to want to go to Mississippi if you're gay. You're going to want to hang out in San Francisco, where everything's great. West Coast is the best place in the world. Why would you want to live in the South? You know?
Yeah, which is why governments are good at protecting children. If you have children in an area, they're better than they are in the world you're talking about. They must be, right?
Everything the government has got involved with, it gets worse.
But I'm saying a simple government being able to help in the bad communities that you would call bad, they must be better for children.
So go back to answer my question. What do you have now that you wouldn't have in my society?
What do I have now in mine or in the real world?
So today, if you wanted to go to Alabama as a gay, you'd get hanged. That's actually not true in the least bit, but for the story.
For the story.
You wouldn't want to go there now. You wouldn't want to go there in my community, in my time. You can't have equality of outcome.
I would totally go there now.
Have everyone get along. Tribalism exists in us.
No, not get along, just not be able to. It's not that you have to make people get along. You just have to know that you can feel safe because of the rules of what people can and cannot do.
Absolutely.
I
No,
think
there
if
would never,
if
there
we
would never be. There would. I can't say there would never be, but I think what you're worried about is not realistic. There's not going to be communities where they're just killing everyone who's coming through, because those communities around them would be alarmed by that, and their security forces would get involved. There's still going to be conflict. There's still going to be, oh hey, there's a community of murderers. We're going to send our security forces in there to stop them from murdering. That's still going to happen. It's just not going to be these retarded steroid fueled like military vets who just trigger happy cops, that are paid bottom dollar to do terrible work.
But I can't figure out why you wouldn't want to fix them. Instead, you would prefer.
There's no fixing people, though. The system is way better to fix the system than the people.
It might be, but we'd have to break it down and look at it.
People
You'd
don't
have
get
to.
fixed. People are not perfect.
I mean, it depends on what the thing is. I mean, look at Derek Chauvin is in jail for almost his entire life.
I don't follow any of that stuff. That's all media.
Okay.
Divide and conquer. Get the
What I'm.
Democrats to fight the Republicans. That's all they
Well,
want.
I don't know about any of that, but what I'm saying is you can force people to do things, like if we're talking about bad police, going from before we had body cams on police to now we have body cams on police. All the time. You see it all the time. Police go to jail.
People on their body cams, with their body cams running, shoot people and get away with it still.
No way.
They don't.
No way.
That wasn't a solution. It absolutely. What?
I would say they get away with it less.
I can show you.
I would say they get in trouble unfairly more than they get away with it.
Not have cops that are paid by the government. Have a private security force that does the same thing, but is driven by capitalism, by offering the best product for the lowest amount of money. You actually use the board
I'm in favor of
members'
capitalism.
greed against them for our favor. You make them give you the best product for the lowest dollar because they're competing. I don't think you fully like. All I'm saying is the free market could do it better. But
I'm in favor of the free market. I don't know why
this federal government that's doing these things.
Do you not think a free market can exist?
Roads is a great thing. Roads,
do you not think
you can't have roads without the government, right? So roads could absolutely be, huh?
No, I'm not making that claim. I'll make my own claims. I am not making that claim. Okay. I'm all for the free market. I don't see how we can't have the freest of markets in the world I'm talking about. In fact, in the world I'm talking about, there isn't even a claim of money whatsoever.
If you have government,
you might have to have the
only existence. Its only reason for existing is to take freedom. So I don't see how you could be so free.
Correct. The government I want would remove freedoms. Correct. And there would be a very small amount of money for the one I'm talking about. I probably actually would want more of a government than the one I'm talking about, but just barely. But just for the sake of conversation, I'm being very specific with military to protect from outsiders, and then laws against killing, enslavement, and a few other violent things. So yes, there would have to be a little bit of money.
There's absolutely laws in anarchy land. There's absolutely military in anarchy land. There's absolutely cops in anarchy land. So we keep getting back to, there's going to be something missing. And there's not going to be anything missing. Maybe for a week or two. There'll be some tough times in between.
It sounds like what you're saying is there's going to be something missing.
What's missing, though?
Okay, so I'll go off of this comment in here, and then we'll talk about that. But first of all, somebody said that I can't seem to admit that people are tribal. People are very tribal. I'm very willing to admit that. I might have came across a strange way. But the question I wanted to answer here that is what's missing is this person says, if you are gay, avoid Muslim communities. Perfect example. What if communities, they group together, and there's like a Texas size, like 20 separate Muslim communities that live near each other or whatever. Sure, we can know, okay, I'm gay, I'm not going to move there. But what if you're born into it? Where they're going to castrate you if you're gay.
Still born into it now.
Exactly.
What do they do now?
And Yeah, no, exactly. And
So
would the hope not be?
if a community got that big, that community should be that big because that's what the free market. That's what happened. That's how markets are beautiful. You know,
You
like
think that's a good thing though?
communities. You know, civilizations have gone away. You know, and it's a good thing. Sometimes there's ups and downs. We got to keep. You know,
But you want freedom to that level. You want freedom to the level of baby girls being circumcised and gay people being thrown off roofs because the freedom allows the religion to overpower people?
I don't think anything I do or you do is going to change that from happening. That is going to happen no matter what. No matter
but
how
you're
many
wanting it to happen in the U.S. and it is illegal in the U.S.
If they happen in my anarchy land, the communities around would pool their security forces and do something about it. I've said this a bunch of times. There's still going to, like, it's just not going to be the feds. It's going to be a bunch of companies doing it that always tend to do better than the feds do. Look at private industry. It's miles ahead of anything the government's doing.
No, I don't disagree with you that might work, which is why
flying jets from the 50s, man. Like our train system is from the fucking like everything is so old. Government only holds us back. So private industry and the free market, you say you're a free marketist, but you're saying we need a government because the government needs to control the free market.
I think we're talking about two different things. You're talking about the government and other governments holding people back.
Government.
I'm talking about a hypothetical political system, and you're talking about a hypothetical political system.
But I've read what you guys are talking about, and it's no different than anything that's happening now. You guys still want to control everyone's behavior, and you still want to enforce vaccine stuff on people.
No. Yeah.
And so that
I don't
look anything different.
No.
What's happening right now?
I thought that was an outrageous claim. I thought, the claim you almost just talked about, I thought that was an outrageous one. That was not my own. In the group you're talking about, I think I sent a message to somebody else saying that we need to set up a debate because that'll be funny. But I'll want to keep that one off YouTube.
No, it's a good group. It's a good group of different people.
Yeah, no, it's fun to get a variety of things going on.
This is where work happens. You actually get where with groups like this, not these echo chambers where everyone believes the same thing.
Yeah, but you could be right. I like hearing your ideas, but I can't imagine there not being a better world than going from complete freedom, living out in nature, to creating a government to protect you by removing people's freedom to murder. I think that's probably the most important thing humans can do.
But humans know they can't. They should. It's bad to kill. Like that's our.
They're still going to do
natural law. It's a natural law. Like that's like 90% of people aren't going to kill each other. Kill others. The rest, there's a problem there, and we're going to have to deal with it. But there's no way of getting rid of that crime, dude. No system is going to get rid of that crime. No.
Let me ask you a quick question then. Now. This won't prove freedom. This won't prove a point for me or anything. It won't make me more right or you more right. But I have a question for you, just because I'm curious what your answer would be. If in the U.S. right now, every single adult knew instantly in their head they could go kill one person, whoever they wanted, and get away with it completely. They just magically knew, some God being told them, like, you can pick one person, kill them, and you will never get caught. How many people that normally without that information wouldn't do anything because whatever reason? I know plenty of people will kill people even if they know the punishments. But I'm just talking about the ones that haven't. Do you think a decent amount of people probably have somebody they want to kill if they knew they could get away with it? No? Are you kidding me?
10%. Nope. I do not believe
10%. That's fair.
We have an innate greater negative thing inside of us. I do not believe that in the least bit. I mean, look at
I agree with that.
People eat meat and stuff, but they don't go out and kill, like they.
Would you say 1%?
Not in mind. Huh?
Would you say 1%?
I would say probably 2%.
Okay.
And that's probably not far off from people that are murdering right now. Like
No. I'm not talking about people that are murdering. I'm talking about only people
to you. If that seems reasonable to you, then you have a problem.
Not I would just guess it's the case.
Think of someone that I'd want to kill. I'd be like, what? No, like, and I
No,
think
no, no, not reasonable to me.
99%
I
of
wouldn't
people
do
would
it. I wouldn't
And I think
personally do
I
it.
don't think we're that different than 99% of everyone else.
Oh,
There are
maybe,
some
but
bad actors, but the government has convinced us there's way more bad actors than there actually are.
well,
And
I don't know if
with
that's
an
necessarily
armed
true, but maybe.
populace, huh?
Well, hold on, just real quick,
Yeah.
quick. Okay, because this hypothetical is bizarre. Like people wouldn't be able to defend themselves
You
from
love
this
bizarre
hypothetical.
hypotheticals, man.
I do. I love them. They're great. I think they're one of the most important things we can do is use them. But we also have to be careful with what we mean by
I
them.
absolutely disagree, so we might get along.
That's fine. But I just want to
might
make
get
sure
some
it's
good
important. It's important that we know that I'm not including the people that are going to kill people anyways. I'm only talking about the ones that if they could get away with
I
it,
don't think it would-
and
I don't think it would be that many.
yeah, 2%, right? What do you think? Do you really think 2% or 1% or what?
Like 1 or 2.
Okay, so 1 or 2. So 1 or 2 is approximately 2 million people. Now, all that many wouldn't do it if we all of a sudden didn't have laws. And obviously, there would be laws in various different communities. And it would depend on which communities had good investigators and all that kind of stuff. It's just a wild number because I feel like there has to be a huge deterrent to kill people when you know the likelihood of getting caught. And it's just crazy to
What about that?
Yeah.
What about being worried about killing someone because they might kill you?
Yeah,
Seems a lot more
that's a
scary than getting caught and getting thrown in jail.
Yeah, that probably stops people from killing a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just don't buy it. I think we are good people, and I think there are some there are demons out there. But the overwhelming majority of the greater good of humanity will always deal with those people. They'll always know how to deal with them because we're far bigger. It's like when people are like, "Oh, super conspiracy people." They're like, "Oh, Biden's going to use the government to kill us all." It's like, you think our brothers and sisters in the government are just going to open fire on us because of a paycheck? It's like people don't think like we aren't as bad as the government and the powers that be and the media want us to think we are. There are serious problems, and there are serious problems in the world, and they're all rooted in government. So continuing government just doesn't seem like a
they're
very
not
good
all
idea to
rooted
me.
in government. There's no way they're all ruled in government. I agree
You
that a
dig
lot of
deep
people.
enough.
I agree. Well, no. What I mean is just out in nature, how humans have lived for all of history. Obviously, I haven't witnessed this, but there's no way that there wasn't a
There were
portion
thousands of years of anarchy, thousands of years of anarchy that worked.
Millions of years worked.
Yes.
That's a strong claim, but the amount that they probably worked for individual tribes that won, but people having just natural greed and anger. I mean, there's no way that all the
You're
violent
never gonna
people
get
are
rid of it, dude. You're never going to get rid of it. No system you put in place will get rid of or know how to deal with perfectly criminals. But a government is not the answer, and government and their cops aren't the answer. Government and its taxation and its wars. I still don't understand why everyone's not talking about war still. I know that's not like all I'm talking about tonight, but that's like a major thing that it is like going on right now. And I just, and it's going on in our country, and it's gone off in every other big country since the dawn of time. So it's like, why do we keep giving our money to these psychos that don't ever do anything that great? Keep things very
I don't
best.
I don't know much about any of that, and I don't want to pretend I do. So I like to focus on the little details. But like just imagining how things have been for all of history, the amount of people. I mean, so look at now the amount of people. I can't remember the exact stats, but the amount of people that get executed on death row that are found to be innocent later by like some DNA testing and various different things. Like it's a small percentage, it's like under 1%, but it's still like a couple hundred people since like the 70s. And that's fucking devastating. And that's not even counting all of history before video cameras and DNA testing. Like in your world, I feel terrified that I would be one of the insane number of people that are going to go to whatever. Is there a jail? Is there no jails for any of the communities?
Of course,
we're all going to jail for no reason because we're all going to be falsely accused of shit.
Well, we're living in a So let me try and do another. So supply and demand, right? Anarchy happens. The feds disappear. Local government kind of is weakened. Obviously, the police aren't funded anymore. There would be a demand for a security. There would be demand for a security force. There would be a demand for firemen. There would be a demand for everything, you know? Mm-hmm. So a free market, the enterprise, you know, all these guys, you know, like, ready to make some new money are going to start these businesses immediately and try, you know, to be the first to the market. Like, you know, what these guys do for a living is do this stuff. They're going to be all over these public offerings that the government gives us like flies on shit. And they're going to do a way better job because they're going to have to compete. They won't have a government allowing them to be a monopoly and just to offer a terrible service to everyone. They're going to have to compete. Correct. So every one of these communities, you would have your own police force, you would have your own fire guy, you would have your own companies that you choose and you pay for with your dollar. You vote for them to be around by paying them because you think you're the best. They're the best one. And things would be way better. DMV, dude. Have you been to the DMV?
I have.
That's government, bro. DMV is stuck in the 70s still. Like, that is government. Free market enterprise, like private enterprise of dudes wanting to make money, you know, and having to compete because government's not around allowing them to monopolize. Like,
okay, so just since I like to break things down, so no DMV. Okay,
you're saying we need the feds to do the court, and we need the feds to do the military. They need to be the ones in charge when they don't.
Not exactly. Well, real quick. So DMV. So would
politicians more than a board of chair board of dudes who want to make money in an industry where there's a huge demand?
Well, because I think there has to be somebody overseeing, where overseeing is what they do.
Okay. Does the government have this?
I think so.
Is the government accountable to anyone?
I would say if it isn't, then it should be.
It absolutely is not, and nor will it ever be because of the design of it.
So when you say the open market would let people come in to take these professions that are important, I think you were referring to stuff like investigation and different like policing type detective-y stuff. The problem is, if you don't have somebody in charge where there's rules, then you have the issues like where in certain areas, certain people of certain skin colors would want to affect other people of different skin colors or different religions in different ways. So when you have people in charge that have limited power, but power to make sure that some of these issues aren't happening.
They have no power. They're being held accountable by the people's dollar.
But who's going to check to see if they're doing it right?
Stop paying and they disappear. Us.
Okay.
Okay. So, brand X ketchup sells. So, and you're thinking, oh, this ketchup company could just poison everyone, and no one's holding them accountable, right?
Yeah, let's go with that. That's not what I think, but yeah, let's go with it.
Be worried about it's a hypothetical problem in this system.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Yeah, go for it.
So, what board member of corporation X that owns this company, what would they be thinking by allowing their quality control to get to the point where it poisons everyone and they lose money? These people are greedy. They want to make
Mhm.
all the money. They
Yeah.
don't want to lose out on money. They want to make all the money. So you use their
Mhm.
greed in our favor, and we vote with our dollar. We know this is a good company. This is a bad company. If brand X ketchup, brand Y ketchup is going to get huge because they're going to lose that market. You
Yeah.
pit free market capitalism. They have to compete. Therefore, they have to offer a low priced good product, or else someone else will beat them to that dollar. And when everyone's voting with their dollars, instead of just letting government control everything how they think they should do it, which changes every 4 years, which makes no sense, you know.
Okay.
Um,
So let me just try to challenge it a little bit. Again, it's a huge topic, but let's say this company is going to put out this food product. It's canned or boxed. They want to declare it's healthy because some people want to eat healthy food. So they say what's in the ingredients, and it just says a few whole foods, no salt, a few whole foods. But they add a bunch of oils and salts anyways. They just don't tell you. So normally we'd have something like an FDA, and I think the FDA fucks up all the time. I've seen a lot of shit on them, and I wish that they were smaller, more controlled. But if you don't have something like an FDA, are you? Well, what are you thinking? So what would happen? What would that be stopped for any reason other than 100 years later, we see people die off a lot sooner than they would because now they're less healthy because they were tricked?
well, it's not necessarily a trick. You have to be careful about. You have to do your own research all the time on everything you put in your body. Clearly, especially with what's been going on recently, but you should hold yourself more accountable. And I go right back to that board member. He's not going to want to miss out on he's going to lose this whole company from this. He's not going to be,
if he's caught.
They're going to be, why would they hide what's in there? Like these days you have the government forcing people to label everything. So they do it, and that's all they do. That's like it's like, like if I would never eat something that didn't have an ingredients list on it. And
no, I'm saying it does have an ingredients list, but they're lying.
That you could always, there's always testing. You could get food tested and find out. Like that's kind of just like, like that's again a kind of an odd hypothetical.
But the way food is tested, I wouldn't think that would exist in your world.
No, if someone got sick, they'd be like, "What's in this food?" And they'd test it, and they'd go to that company and be like, "You're putting stuff in there that's bad," and then everyone would stop using that company, and that company would disappear, and the next company in line would get that market. Like it's hard to understand all at once this stuff, but like government doesn't do this stuff better than these dudes would do it, and that's like everyone hates the corporations. All these rich corporations use their greed against them to make them offer us good stuff instead of only offering us garbage through the government.
Yeah. So my claim is only if they did it better, then it would be better. What I'm trying to figure out is because you have a claim that even if the government did everything perfectly, them not being there would be even better, it might be right. You might be right. I'm just trying to figure that out based on the idea. If
Perfect
we could,
is a tough word for me, dude. I'm a logician,
Sure.
And I'm a debate guy. So it's like,
Yeah.
like perfect is just, and these extreme hypotheticals of just like, government functioning.
Well, we have to accept possibilities, right?
Would have to be not taxing anyone, like they'd have to be getting something from somewhere. Like, I don't, it's like, so like, why are you so in love with the idea of the feds and not like the free market doing with these things? Because it seems like you're really hung up on seeing a world without the feds, because it is hard to understand, but it seems like you're really hung up on we need this group of politicians to run all this stuff.
Yeah. Like, so I'm a huge
when a group
fan
of businessmen might run it better.
Yeah, and I'm not, I'm not the most educated person out there. I like to read some books. I like to do some research, and I'm more philosophical than anything. I like to think things through and learn as I go. I'm a huge fan of the Founding Fathers. I really like, I like our Constitution for the most part.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan. Yeah, go for it.
Have you ever considered the idea that all those are stories?
Sure.
like fake stories.
Yeah. I think it's interesting to decide what we call fact or not, and it's kind of interesting because anything in history could be fake. I've never done the scientific studies to declare that the Earth is round. I just
Yeah.
go with it being round because that's what the
Yeah,
majority say.
Yeah.
So when it comes to something that I'd
I'm
call
the
a
complete
fact or whatever,
opposite of that. I'm the complete
Gotcha.
opposite of that. I
um,
don't appeal to the crowd. I am an extreme contrarian. I am agnostic to the death. Like I don't think
no.
that any of us know what's going on about
Yeah.
anything. So anyone
No.
who says they're certain about something, I think it's full of shit.
I'm a contrarian as well. I'm very skeptical about most things. But what I do is, I had to figure out a system in my head for how I approach this. What I do is, if it does not strongly affect me, then I'll go with the authorities on the matter, I guess. If somebody were to ask me if the Earth is round or flat, I'd say the Earth is round. I would say that, and if they say, "Do you know that for a fact?" I would say, "Well, that's what all the professionals and scientists say, and it seems to be the most evidence leans in that direction. But I wouldn't even know how to evaluate the evidence myself." So same thing with history.
Right.
It could be, "Do you know that this person ever even exists?" And I'd be like, "Well, I don't know it exists, but when it comes to history, if something isn't challenged by other historians, we just go with this general idea." Now, the good thing here is, even if this stuff is fake, when I talk about my like for somebody like Thomas Jefferson and like values I really care about of people from history, I can just care about those values even if they weren't real people or real situations.
No, that's the thing. That's the thing. And that's like the whole forced patriotism. I have a big problem with that. And I hear these stories and it's just a bunch of warlords fighting over land, you know, and like they forced these stories on us when we were kids. And like we're somehow supposed to like care about them enough to like have this blind patriotism where we just allow our government to go murder people, you know, like that's it's like it's propaganda and brainwashing. It's all kinds of stuff.
Sure,
But I'm, you know, and then Thomas Jefferson, you know, he was definitely a cooler one. But again, like, who are these guys really? You know, like what, like history's written by the victor, bro. Like what we know,
Sure.
we only know because they want us to know. And so I try not to get too wound up in any, you know, overt patriotic stuff. Like I see the USA for what it is, you know, and I appreciate it for certain things and I despise it for other things. But yeah, I don't know, you know, founding fathers stuff. I'm like I feel like I'm kind of I'm definitely extreme for this group, but all my friends think the same way. It's funny and like
No,
it's weird.
You're fine.
Are you are you like a conservative or something like that? You in the whole two-party thing?
I view no. If I had to create a label, I'd view myself as a relaxed libertarian.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I have a strong focus on freedoms. I even to the level of like I don't think the government should force restaurants to not be racist. I don't care if people have signs that say no blacks allowed or no whites allowed. I don't care. Like I basically I want freedoms for everybody, except I want the government to prevent violence.
Yeah, but they don't though. They spread violence.
Sure. Well, I just mean in my hypothetical world.
Yeah.
One thing you and Vabe have talked about that I wanted to jump in on, but I didn't, is I agree with both of you on the minimum wage. Similar to, I don't want the government to control race and religion stuff. I don't care if somebody says I won't hire Muslims. Like, I don't care about any of that stuff. But I also don't care what people want to pay people. What I do care about is if you have a society with a government and you want that society to function, if there is something needed to survive. So in this world, I know in your world, it would work without money, or at least, sorry, never mind. It wouldn't work without money. But anyways, So in this world, we need money. And on average, there's a certain amount your average person needs in a certain area to survive. And so
Yeah.
the only reason I would ever be in favor of something like a minimum wage is in the case where you have X, like let's say you have let's say you have 1 million adult humans and you have 250,000 jobs.
Yeah.
Then in this case, the government needs to figure something out, or the people can, or whatever. But my point is, if you want to not be survival of the fittest, everybody just whatever, then in this case, you might need something like a UBI. Money might need to go out because
Why
the
not
people
lower
need to-
taxes? Why not stop fighting wars and lower
Sure.
taxes?
Let's imagine.
first?
Let's imagine there's no taxes whatsoever. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Then we wouldn't be having,
Mhm.
there wouldn't be the
Yeah.
unemployment we have now for sure. Like people would be working, or the monetary system, the money would be worth way more, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I'm
It
just
wouldn't
saying
be-
if
we
there's
wouldn't
if
be
there's a
so
million
desperate.
people.
You're still
If
thinking
there's a-
like we're in these desperate times that this government is created for us, that
No.
we have to rent is so
No.
expensive, and
No,
insurance. and all this
no.
stuff.
I'm creating desperate times. I'm not talking about our real world. I'm talking about why something should or shouldn't work, and we can compare it to the real world. But what I'm saying is, so if we have 1 million people and we have a potential 1 million jobs, then the best workers are going to get the best jobs and get the best money, and that's great. I'm all for that. I want that, and the pay is whatever the people want it to be. I'm all for the freedom. I want all the prostitutes. I don't think we should have to wear seatbelts. I want all the
Yeah.
freedom in the world. And so what I'm saying is, if over time we get so innovative that we create all these AI and automation, self-checkouts. I used to work at 2 different video stores, and now you either get something at Redbox where there's almost no workers, or it's streaming online. And so at some point, all I'm saying is if there's a hypothetical point where machines are doing all the cutting down trees and making paper out of it, and there's almost no humans working, and you have all these people needing to work, and let's say we're in a society with a government where there is taxes, but we lower it as far as humanly possible. If there are only enough jobs for 5-10% of the humans, then that's when I think the government might need to step in. We might need something like a UBI, or we might need something like minimum wage. But I don't think minimum wage should happen in a society where everybody can have the opportunity to live well. And I don't think people should be necessarily given good outcomes. We just need the opportunity, and I think we mostly have it. A lot of people are lazy and don't want to work, and there's many jobs out there. And if people just, do better, they
don't want to die, and they'll work if they have to. If they die, if it's like, yeah. So what was I just? Yeah. So okay. So all our labor has been whittled down so low that it's really hard to understand how much our labor is actually worth in my fantasy land, basically.
Okay.
My utopian libertarian voluntarist community. These desperate conditions where we're close to death, like, won't be happening. Like the economy will be so good, sans all the leechiness of our monetary system, that you won't be having these like desperate situations where people are almost dying and we have to change our whole government system to accommodate this tiny percentage. It's once you start trying to do that, it's like this endless slippery slope into what we have now, which is full on I don't know what the word is right now, but fascism.
Mm-hmm.
Where your entire life is controlled by the government, but because we need to take care of some poor people that are poor because of the government. Like the government is the reason we have unemployment. Without the government, there wouldn't be unemployment. I mean, there would be people that don't work, but those would be very small. Everyone everyone else who's flourishing and prosperous will be able to take care of those people because there are brothers and sisters and grandmas and uncles and shit. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, it's only in these
No,
big cities does all this garbage happen. You know, like
No, I got you.
lose all the.
Yeah, I just want more protection is all. I want, like, so in the case we were talking about where
Own a gun?
okay, we'll get to that later.
Well,
I'm
you
not
don't have
against.
to answer that.
I'm very
Do
I'm
you
very
believe
pro.
in gun ownership.
I'm very pro gun. Correct.
Okay.
Um,
Then why do you
but,
feel you need so much protection?
I need
And why do
protection
you
from
think
the
that the free
outcomes.
market wouldn't be able to give you that protection?
Well, I'll show you real quick. So back to that thing we were talking about before. Let's say, so I'm beating my wife. She's beat, or at least she goes and tells. Let's say you're the dad. So your daughter is my wife, and she goes to you and is like, Carson beat me up. She's just black and blue all over. She got hit like 20 times, like one of the most beat you've ever seen. And then I know you had one version where you call up investigators or something, but another version is that the strong men of the community do their thing. So what if you and somebody else wanted to come and teach me a lesson and beat the shit out of me? And what if I didn't do it, like my example earlier, and you're coming to beat me up, but I didn't do anything?
I didn't say strong men beat up. Just
No, you didn't say that. I'm just saying, what if you do though?
control the situation.
Yeah.
I meant control the situation.
Oh, no, I know. I'm just saying, like, what if that is your choice? What if that's your choice to do? And now
Every
you're saying if
situation is different. Maybe there is a situation where, oh shit, we need to call the local security force first. You know, and well, likely, I mean, the whole
that's my
like, getting
concern.
back to the
I think
community
every
thing-
time you'd want to call.
getting back to the community thing, I never said you don't. That was more about like how I wish things were now here, where we don't just call the cops. You know, the people deal with it and adjudicate on the spot whether or not it's necessary to call the cops. Not just calling the cops all the time. You don't think the cops shoot that many people? I think they do. I think shooting any people is too many people. There's non-lethal ways of doing everything. Sure, sometimes, but it's like,
do you think the community leaders would do that better though and kill less?
No. Okay, so getting back, so talking about getting back to the community leaders, that wasn't necessarily like the main focus. The main focus is every community will have a different level of security force. Some will be super militaristic, some will be just the locals, you know, just like a local militia. You'll have everything in between, but clearly a community that wants to flourish is going to have some sort of security. And if something like that happened, obviously they would call the security force. But that security force isn't going to be a bunch of cops who show up and start throwing people on the ground and stepping on their necks or shooting people or shooting dogs or terrorizing children or any of the other things they do. No-knock raids. You know, like none of that's going to happen. It's going to be far more sane. It will be a professional private company that comes and does all the investigating and deals with the insurance companies. The insurance company is going to hire an investigator to come look at everything. You know, like it's going to be dealt with, but it's going to be dealt with by a bunch of greedy motherfuckers who want to make money, not a bunch of narcissist senators and, you know, like politicians and stuff. Like who wants to have that much power over people? Like I don't. Like that's a bad sign. That's not a bad look to me, you know, wanting to be a politician and control a lot of people. So I don't trust those guys. I trust the people who want to make money, you know, that are greedy, who want to do a good job and get that paycheck at the end of the day.
I trust both of them, and I can't see any connection. I can't see any connection between the two.
The people don't pay for. The people pay for the services they want from the private industry. Government, we have to pay for services we don't want.
How would you feel safe going anywhere? Would the hope be that online you could learn anywhere you would go what their rules are?
I would live in a community that's being regulated by an insurance company that doesn't allow criminals in.
No, but what if you wanted to go somewhere else?
And if
like,
there is something happening, I would have to investigate where I'm going and whether my risk factor, whether is it, you know, do I want to go to Alabama
I would be scared
even
to go
though
to
I can fit
any.
in there, you know, like,
I would be
no,
scared
like,
to
I
go
can just
10
walk in
feet
there.
from my house. I would,
That's
as,
odd. That's weird
if
to
my
me.
community
I
was
feel like
good,
you
that'd
think that there's way more crime going on, or way more
Well-
bad people around. It seems like you think you're surrounded by bad people.
do you think it's good to eat animals?
No.
Do you think a lot of people eat animals?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to get you in a quick gotcha. There are bad people. People suck. People only become good because most people are followers that
Yeah,
follow their tribe, and when
people
their
follow
tribe,
traditions. Yeah,
Mhm.
like it, you
yeah, and
can't-
so in a
you can't
society
blame
where there's
anyone.
laws, yeah,
Everyone is a product of their environment. Everybody is a product of their parents and their grandparents. We all have intergenerational trauma that we're dealing with. That's why I don't know, like grouping people. I'm just not like, I feel for people that have to do crime, you know, like obviously I don't feel for the serious criminals, but I want them to get better because the world would be better and I would want the best for them. I don't want them to simply be eliminated from, you know, completely have their ultimate rights taken away. You know, that like natural rights are real. We are allowed to be here. You can't take that from people. You can't take their freedom. You can't take their life. You can't take things from them. If we
Wait,
all
what do you mean
agree
by
on
natural
that,
rights? I don't think I believe in natural rights. What is
natural
that?
right to breathe, to eat, to be here. I have a natural right to travel or to you know, to move around. I have, you know, like,
Wait, what if I didn't want you to,
like
though?
God-given, Allah, son-given rights. The rights.
But neither of us believe in God. What do you really mean by that? So if we're both in nature, there's no society, there's
I'm
not even
here.
the communities that we're
Therefore,
talking
I'm
about.
allowed to do these things, and that's be free,
Hmm?
breathe, eat, like all these
Mm-mm.
things, the basic common laws. You don't think so? I don't have
No.
any right to eat.
If we're out in nature and you leave your community and I leave mine and we stumble across each other and there's no society and I want to kill you, you don't have any rights. If I'm successful, you're dead.
Why would you? Well, A, why would you want to? B, it's going to be a fight.
Maybe I'm a psychopath.
And
And
you
maybe
might
it'd be a
be
fight.
killed. You're going to have to gamble with getting killed.
Yeah.
Like it's just like driving, dude. People don't.
Yep.
I mean, people crash, but you are concerned about your car and your well-being, so you try not to crash. Like,
Yeah,
you're
I'm just trying to
gonna-
point out I
like,
don't believe in natural
only
rights.
the
I don't.
craziest people are just going to walk around trying to kill everyone
Yeah.
all the time, and there's not that many of those people around.
I'm just pointing out that I don't think nature cares about us. I don't think there's anything in nature, anything that is natural,
No, I
that would
wasn't
be a
saying
right.
no, nature has nothing to do with my natural right. My natural
Yeah.
right is between me and you. You have no right to take my.
You just
natural
mean that
right.
we should respect each other's like negative rights.
Absolutely.
Maybe I'm just wording it differently than you.
Maybe.
I've never liked the term natural rights because I think rights are what humans afford each other. I could kill you, or I could afford you the right,
I hear
like
people
negative
saying
rights.
that we have a right to health care, free health care, and shit like
Oh,
that. So
that's because
like, you
people are
know,
bad at
I
using
don't-
words. Yeah. So you either have natural rights which don't exist, or you have rights that are afforded to each other from people. I afford you rights. You might afford me
Yeah.
rights. Like me and
Golden
you afford.
rule, voluntarism.
Well,
That's
yeah. Like me
voluntary.
and you personally afford animals rights that a lot of people don't afford them. And then, so separate from that, you got natural rights, personal affording of rights, and then you could have government given rights or something like that. Like the government gives us the right to free speech or something like that. And so that's just kind of how I view rights. Now, we could say we don't want a government, but then we're kind of down to the idea of our community affords us rights, which is kind of a smaller government, but no government, or us individuals can afford each other rights. But that doesn't mean that we have anything in nature protecting us, or that there's any God that
No,
I don't believe that bullshit. Even though I do like the founding fathers, I don't believe the bullshit of all men are created equal and we get, whatever. That's just us deciding to afford each other protections through the government or something like that.
Yeah. That's
Real quick though, because I do got to hop off here, but if you do have interest in keeping with the group, this is kind of how I would
I'm
view
going to
it.
be really annoying. I might not be right for that group.
No, and it's up to you if you
I'm
feel like
completely on the other end of the spectrum of most people on there.
Well, there
But
are.
I mean, I'm down to be there and put in my 2 cents, but I'm going to be annoying.
Yeah.
People might
No, there
like
are
it.
three. There are 3 people, including you, out of like the main 20 people that talk that
Yeah.
have the same stance. This guy Matthew Sands, I think he has almost exactly the stance you have.
Yeah.
It might be slightly different, but I'd love to have you guys talk. But here's the thing: this is how I would view handling the voting, and you can do it however you want. But at some point, we could agree to vote to have this it be what you're talking about. But then at that point, what the group would be when we decide laws, it would be as if us 30 were in one community, and then we're deciding laws for our community. So you don't always have to view it like it's a government
It's to
thing.
control the whole country.
But yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because we had a talk the other day of if we're, let's imagine we have the option to have the U.S., but we could also take Mexico too. Do we think there's reason to have more people having their separate stuff, or should there be like one government controlling everything? And everybody has all these different stances. But if somebody thinks, like one person was saying, that the U.S. government should control the entire world.
Yeah.
And if they're viewing our government as controlling the entire world and they're voting in that way, that's fine. And somebody else like you could view that you're just one of the voices saying what should be legal in your own community. Because you do feel that, right? Like in your community, in your anarchist community, you feel that there should be like there could be a law that says nobody's allowed to stab people. And it's not controlled by a government, but it's community decided.
All the basic like golden rule, axiom of non-aggression principle stuff, like that's obvious, like that's the obvious stuff for sure.
But that's a thing where any of the adults in the community can get together and they all like raise their hand and put it to a vote.
You can't buy a gun until you're 19 bullshit. That's like, okay, you're controlling people's inner family workings, and
but your community could decide that, right?
Way tighter than they are these days. So
would your community be able to do it though?
What's that?
In your world, would your community be able to say, well, in our community, you can't have a gun until you're 19, and then those people that disagree could leave to another community?
Of everything in my land. Like there's full-on communism communities, but they're allowed to do whatever they want, and the people are allowed to leave. Like there's full every spectrum of politics. There'll be different flavors of everything.
Okay, so that's what I would recommend.
Just like how it is now, because a lot of people like having a government, and a lot of people don't. So
what I would recommend, if you do still have interest in being part of the group, when you get the things to vote on, I'd recommend treating it like you're voting. You're one of the adult votes in your own community. So when there was the question about should it be illegal to circumcise, your answer in that should be if you think it should be in your community. And but you might personally
that I do not feel that I have the right to control the traditions of others. So I would vote no. I do not want it illegal. Just like I said, you said, oh, legalize weed, and it's like, no, there should be no talk of any of this. It should be people are allowed to do whatever they damn well want to do.
But
if people are closer, the tribes are closer together, the families are close together, they're going to regulate themselves. They don't need government telling them what to do. And no, arbitrary ages.
Not government. No. I'm talking about the tribes. No, I'm talking about the community.
Okay. Yeah.
So are you saying in your community you wouldn't want to stop people in your community from circumcising, right?
Oh, my personal community.
Yeah, your community. Yeah.
I would. I see, because you're kind of asking, would you leave a good community if this one problem was there?
Yeah, you were just saying that a community of like, I don't know, 1,000 people, they would have various different laws. And it would be decided by everybody in the community. And then if anybody didn't want to be in that community, they could go to another one. So I'm saying if you're one of the 1,000 people deciding for your group of 1,000.
Okay. I see that as a rights violation. Therefore, I would not want that in my community.
Oh, okay.
No, and that's like a basic don't hurt people, don't steal people. That's
Yeah.
the basic rules that we are all as voluntarists go with, the non-aggression
Okay.
principle. So obviously holding a baby down and cutting it is not good.
Okay.
that would be
And then,
not
so if the
something-
society you happen to be in or your community, let's say, is 1,000 people an okay number to call a community?
Yeah.
Okay. So if they decided
That's,
60%,
1,000's kind of a lot.
okay, let's say 500. So let's say
You need to
six.
be a community. Yeah.
Okay, let's say 60% of them decided we want a circumcision to exist, and
Then that
you.
group would split apart.
Okay.
community
Fair.
would split apart.
And
That's
you
how I
would
was
go to
saying
the
they-
side.
the communities will constantly be changing.
Okay,
and-
and you would go to the one side. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Perfect,
Yeah, yeah.
perfect. So when you answer the questions, just answer them in a way where you're letting us know that we can see you and go, I'm going to be in that guy's community. So you're not voting as you're just saying as of now until we get things more
My
figured out.
preferences for my environment is what you're asking.
Personal
about.
preference, yeah. And then maybe you will convince all of us or some of us to downgrade our government to something closer to what you want. Yeah.
Well, I have a video I want you to watch, or we can watch it. But it's way better version of all this stuff I'm talking about.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Send it my way. I can share it with the group, and yeah, it'd be great. I gotta hop out of here because my wife's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
kill me. But
Okay.
it is great. It's great talking to you, man.
Yeah.
All right,
Peace.
take care.
See ya.